And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Scott versus Butler. Step forward, please.
22-year-old homemaker Shalisha Scott is suing her ex-boyfriend, 26-year-old cook Jermaine Butler, for claiming her children on his tax return. Jermaine is countersuing for car damage, stolen clothes, and an assault.
Ms. Scott, you and Mr. Butler live together, according to what I've read. You have a child?
Yes, not together.
Not together. How old is your child?
My daughter is 22 months old.
Do you also have a niece that's living with you?
Well, she was in my care previously in 2002.
How old is she?
She's 4 years old.
Why was she in your care?
Just temporarily, just to take care of her.
I asked you a direct question. You have a niece. Is this your sister's child?
Yes.
Was your sister not in a position to take care of her?
No. She just needed some assistance and I helped her.
Does your sister have any other children?
Yes.
How old are her other children?
She has a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 3-month-old.
Was this the only child that was out of her custody, or were they all out of her custody?
No. There wasn't out of her custody at all. I just took care of her.
Ms. Scott, according to your complaint, you lived with him, stopped living together. When he left, he took a computer and he took a car.
Yes.
You want the computer back and you want the car back.
Yes.
Those items, you say, were purchased with money that he received from his tax returns. You say he received that money from his tax returns because you allowed him to take your daughter and your niece as dependents on his tax returns. That's why I ask you these questions.
Oh.
So, do you understand?
Yes.
That's what you said in your complaint, that the only reason that these items were yours because you were taking care of a 22-month-old and a 4-year-old that year.
Yes.
So I assume you were not working.
No.
Is that right?
No, I wasn't working.
Right. So somebody was supporting you, your 22-month-old, and the 4-year-old. He says it was him because he was working.
When we got together, Jermaine didn't even have a job until...
I'm talking about the year we're talking about with his tax returns. He had to have had a job because he paid taxes and he got money back.
Me and him didn't get together till the end of 2002. So he didn't take care of my niece at all.
How long did you live together?
We lived together for about 7 months.
Who supported your 4-year-old niece?
I did during this time.
From what?
From about March to about August of 2002.
From what money?
Oh, just welfare, just taking care of her, period. Just having her there all the time, basically.
How did you support yourself before him?
I was on welfare, basically.
And your 22-month-old was on welfare?
Yes.
And the 4-year-old?
She was on her mother's welfare, yes.
Did you claim these 2 children on your tax returns?
Yes, I did.
Is that wrong?
Yes.
Of course it was wrong because we, as taxpayers, were paying for these children. And how much money did you get back as a result of claiming them on your tax returns?
Approximately $3,000.
$3,000 back. Now, but for these children, would you have gotten any money back?
Yes.
How much?
Maybe less than $1,000.
So let's say you got $2,000 back as a result of fraudulently claiming these 2 children on your tax returns. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And it's your claim, Miss Scott, that you should be entitled to what you bought with this $2,000, because if it wasn't for you giving him the right to take your daughter and your niece off on your tax returns, he wouldn't have gotten this money back.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Because you didn't work during that time. The only money that you had was provided to you by the state.
Well, actually, in the beginning of 2002, I had a job. I worked.
Well, tell me about your job.
Yes, I was a dental, not a dental assistant. I worked at Wienerson School as a manager.
Okay. How long have you been on welfare?
I've been on welfare since September of 2001.
And what year tax returns are we talking about?
2002's taxes.
Fine. Then let's not quibble. The state was supporting you and your daughter. That's the money we're talking about. The state was supporting you, and you had no right to let him claim your 22-month-old or your 4-year-old on his tax returns because the state was providing you with money.
Well,
so what you want me to do is, well, he was wrong, 100% wrong. I hope the IRS watches it and comes back and says, you owe us this money because you're not entitled to take them as dependents. They're not your dependents. You are also not entitled to any part of $2,000.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying that was our agreement we came up with to make extra money. And
you came up with a scheme. You came up with a scheme with him. It was an interesting scheme. I'll give you the law very quickly, Ms. Scott. The law says that in order to come into court and ask the court to help you, you have to come in with clean hands. If you come in with dirty hands, which means that you have put your hand down, which means that you haven't done the right thing, you don't get the court's help.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Right. You and he came up with a scheme, and the scheme was to get money back from the government that you didn't deserve, because the government was supporting you, your daughter, and your niece, and as a result of your scheme with him, he got back an extra $2,000. And then you were going to split the proceeds. That's the agreement that you made with him. And your complaint is that he reneged on the agreement because with that money he bought a car, and he bought a computer, and when he left, he took everything back with him.
No, we were in a relationship. So everything that was bought, we bought together. Jermaine was homeless before I met him, so I brought him in thinking that he was going to be an idle husband or a future husband because we were talking about getting married and everything. And I thought that we were going to build on something, but he decided after I became pregnant, everything started getting bad. And he decided to leave.
Your whole story. Listen to me carefully.
I'm just saying.
Listen to me carefully. You're not his wife. You are legally nothing to him. Who are you?
I'm her brother.
I don't want to hear from you. Let me think that at least one member of your family was not absent when they gave out the noodle department. Okay? Do you understand? She doesn't get it. Your case is dismissed. You have absolutely no cause of action. You did the wrong thing by permitting him to take two people as dependents who were not his dependents. He did the wrong thing. I'm speaking. He did the wrong thing. He ended up with a computer and, according to you, a car that he bought.
For me. That was my car.
That he bought partially from tax return refunds that he shouldn't have gotten, and the IRS may come back and get him. I don't know that. I know certainly you're not getting any money from him because you did the wrong thing. Goodbye. Good luck. Have a happy life. Take your brother with you. I don't want to hear him. I don't want to look at him. I want him out of here.
Hold on for a second. Who keeps helping me?
Whoever keeps helping you, throw them out.
That's what I was going to do. Hold on.
Perfect. Just pick the right person.
Your Honor, this is case number 207 on the calendar in the matter of Reese versus Pena. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Mr. Reese, you're suing the defendant because you claim she had you falsely arrested.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know Miss Pena before you rented a room in her house?
Yes, I was living with a friend, and they live in the same gated community. And the friend I was living with was about to go on tour for 2 months, so I needed a spot to stay until I found another spot. She offered her room for rent, you know, for a month or less.
So you knew her from
the friend, yeah.
A friend, and you had socialized. You had,
yeah.
According to your complaint, she agreed to rent you a room in her house.
Right.
And that was sort of in, I think it was in mid-May that she agreed to do that. And you paid her rent, $375?
Right.
Did he pay you any rent?
Yes, he paid me $360.
$360. Oh, so I was off.
All right, my bad.
And then she went away for a while on a weekend or something, and lo and behold, her parents come home.
Right.
And find you sleeping in their bed,
well,
like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And they said, in effect, who the hell are you? And what are you doing here? And you explained to them that you had rented a
room
from their
daughter.
And they said, we don't like that.
Right.
So at that point, Miss Pena, then she comes back, and she said she had a fight with her parents. You did have a fight with your parents.
No.
Your parents wanted him out. Fair statement?
Yes.
And you said, I'm paid up until the end of the month. I'm not leaving.
Correct.
One thing led to another, and Miss Pena asked you to leave. According to your answer, Miss Pena, you said to him, look, you have to go, and I'll give you back your money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I don't want my money back. I need a place to stay till the end of the month. You said, I'll even give you money to go and stay in a hotel, right?
Yes.
And he said, I'm not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes, that's true.
And then you started arguing. You argued for a few days.
3 days.
What were you arguing about?
Okay, Tuesday, that's the day I came into town, and my parents told me what had happened, what they spoke of, and that's when I confronted him about exactly what had happened. I asked for his side of the story after my parents had told me. So at that point, he told me that I was lying about what my parents had told me, which was that he had paid $575. And at this point, they were very displeased at what had happened because he had lied to them in their face.
No, they were displeased that you rented him a room.
No, that's not how it was.
I want to know what you were arguing with him about.
We were arguing because he denied that my parents said that he was going to pay $360, which is what I had told them.
He had already paid $360.
Exactly, but he had told them that he was paying $575, so that's why I confronted him.
Excuse me?
Monthly.
Monthly. And he had given you $360, but that was just for 2 weeks, madam.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, get with the drill with your math. He paid you for 2 weeks, $360.
Yes.
So is that what you were arguing about?
Yes.
For 3 days? What prompted you to go to the...
No, we
I'm
weren't.
speaking. Then you said you were arguing nonstop for 3 days. So that's... Now you've told me what you were arguing about. And since you were arguing and he wouldn't leave, you went to the police.
He threatened me on the 3rd day of our argument. So
How
I
did he
filed a
threaten you?
complaint. He told me, while we were arguing in the morning, a friend happened to call me on the phone. And he heard the way that...
What were you arguing about?
We were arguing about the same situation we had been arguing for the past 3 days.
Why didn't you just leave him alone and let him work out his contract, because he'd already paid till the end of May, and let him leave?
Because my parents wanted him out of the house because he had lied to them. So that's why I offered him money so he could leave early, because we...
He didn't want to leave early.
Okay. And
That
he
I'm
began
asking you why you went to the police. Now
He
you were going to
threatened
tell me that.
He threatened me.
How
and
did he
told
threaten you?
me
What did he say?
that because after I had spoken to my friend on the phone, he told me that if I had anybody try to get him out of the house, that he would take care of me or he would handle that situation with me. And I had never said I was going to do anything of the sort. I was trying to get him to leave civilly. But that's why we were arguing, because I couldn't do that. So he said that if I try to have anybody escort him out of the house, that he would handle that situation. So I went and filed a complaint.
Why?
Why? Because I felt threatened. He was being very hostile.
Go ahead. So you went to the police and you filed a complaint.
Very
I want to see a
condescending.
copy of the complaint that you filed. First one. You filed 2 complaints, is that right?
No, just one.
Oh, really? I read your answer and it says that you filed 2 complaints.
No, I never said that.
Oh. You say in your answer, madam, that you were arguing for 3 days, so I decided to go to the police and file a complaint. Later that day, we argued again. This time, he threatened me by saying that he had a gun. I called the police, and they came and arrested him.
Yes.
So when you went to the police the first time and you told him this baloney story, they did not come and arrest him. Is that right?
No, all I did was file a complaint against him. I went to the police department.
Okay, fine.
filed
And
a
then what
complaint.
happened? Fine. You filed a complaint.
The following...
What's next?
The same evening,
Yeah.
he came home and we started arguing again, and the argument escalated.
What, just a
whereupon-
second. He came home and...
And I-
Shh. Pay attention to me. I'm much smarter than you are. I got it. He came home, walked in the front door. Where were you?
Sitting on the couch.
What did you say to him or he say to you?
I asked him if he would decide to leave early.
So you started with him and you said, I want you to leave. He already told you he's not leaving. And he said what?
He said that he wasn't going to leave, began degrading me and insulting me again. At that point, he told me if I had anybody come and try to escort him out of the house or advise him to leave, that he had a gun upstairs in his room and that he would use it if it was necessary.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your story was totally different, by the way, in your complaint than what you just testified to, because you're so stupid you can't even get your facts straight.
And later today,
I had been putting money into their account because I was filing for divorce from Mr. Minks, and I was trying to hide the money from him. So,
Babe, you can't do that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Chris Reese says ex-roommate Belinda Pena had him falsely arrested. Belinda says when she asked Chris to leave, he threatened her with violence.
Yes.
Now, at that time, they're saying that I said I had a gun. They had already taken all her and her friends. They took all my stuff out the room and they wrapped it up in a blanket with my TV, DVD player, clothes, and put at the end of the stairs, tied in a knot. So when I was driving home in a U-Haul, because I was going to pick up a bed to put in my new spot for the next month, I was driving home in U-Haul. I got a call from one of her boyfriends talking about, you know, he's from Compton.
Just a second. So are you telling me that when you were coming home that evening,
right,
when you came in on the evening that she's talking about, she and her friends had already cleared out your room?
Downstairs on the bottom, tied up in a knot with TV, DVD, clothes, CDs, everything, iron.
Yeah.
And I walked in, there was 4 guys there, and I asked which one of you guys called me on my cell phone. They was like, it's not us. She said it was somebody else. I got upset.
So there were 4 people there,
Already.
herself and how many of her friends?
4 people and her.
And her were there.
They're
Now, is
already.
that the time that you called the police?
Oh, I didn't call the police.
She called the police.
Oh, yes, yes.
Is that when you called the police?
Yes, after.
And you had 3 friends at
Which
the
had
house.
nothing to do with it.
I'm speaking and I asked you a question. You had 3 friends there. Is that correct?
They happened to stop by, yes.
Well, I want to tell you something. I'm trying to hold my fury because not only did you manipulate the justice system because of your lies, because you couldn't get your way, and you figured the only way to get your way was to file a complaint against him with the police department, so you went down there once. And your story was totally different, by the way, in your complaint than what you just testified to, because you're so stupid you can't even get your facts straight.
That's nice.
You say that he was going to get somebody to take care of you. Well, that's not what you testified to. You said, if anybody tries to get me out of here, I'm going to be able to take care of the situation, not take care of you. That was the first time you went to the police. And then when the police would do nothing, because you figured you'd go down there, cry a couple of tears, and they would be very sympathetic, they would come and throw him out. Then you had 3 friends over. You had already packed up all of his stuff. It was already in a big bundle, so you knew there was no gun upstairs in his room because the room was cleared out.
Exactly.
and because he wasn't going fast enough for you, you called the police and you had him arrested. You've got some nerve. You're a manipulative, maniacal young lady who worked the system, and he got punished for it.
5 days in jail.
Ultimately, the case was dismissed. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
I wish I could put her in jail for 5 days.
That's all I wanted.
Listen to me. I wish I could put her in jail for 1 day so that she would know how it felt to lose your liberty when somebody is lying because they didn't get their way. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's just a huge liar. He's a complete liar.
She had a 4-bedroom, only 2 people were living there. She was taking trips and paying car notes.
He insulted me, degraded me, and he was hostile, violent, and I'm living in this house by myself, renting him out a room, doing him a favor.
I didn't need to be in jail. You know, I have money. It wasn't about money.
I'm not going to do favors for anybody, especially people like him.
I came here to get justice. Justice was prevailed.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Minks versus Boris. Step forward, please.
Prototype machinist Ted Minks is suing his ex-wife, student Susan Boris, for closing their son's bank accounts and stealing the money.
When were you 2 people married?
We were married until February the 5th was the final.
2503, and you have children?
Yes, we do, 2, Your Honor.
2 boys?
Yes, Your Honor.
How old are they?
14 and 10.
Who has custody of the children?
I do, Your Honor.
All of that is correct so far.
It's joint physical legal custody. So,
That wasn't a complete sentence. Can we have the whole sentence, please?
part of it's true. It's joint physical custody, Your Honor.
We have joint physical custody, and who has primary legal custody?
Mr. Minks does, Your Honor.
This is your complaint. that there existed bank accounts. The bank accounts were for the boys, and the custodian of those accounts was your former wife.
That is true, Your Honor.
And when the children, when you became their primary legal custodian, you wanted access to the account because you just wanted to move. I don't know what you wanted to do with the accounts. And you found out that the defendant had, in fact, closed the accounts.
If I may, I am the full physical custodian of the two children. We have joint legal, so it's the other way around. And yes, that is true. She did close the accounts and take the money from the children. And they did ask for those monies back.
How much was in each of the accounts?
I believe one was $365 and the other was $110.
So far correct?
No, Your Honor.
How much was in the accounts?
When I closed the account, one was $134 and the other was $11.
Can I see a history of the accounts, please? There wasn't a lot of money in these accounts, sir. The average balance for the last 12 months was $103.87. And that says for the average balance the last 12 months. Did you know how much money was in these accounts?
I had a good idea. I did not get regular statements, no.
Did you withdraw any other money out of these accounts for the children? Other than the monies that you withdrew, $103 and $63 when you closed them?
I withdrew some cash that I put in for my check to pay for an orthodontic bill for Joe. I had been putting money into their account for like transition because I was filing for divorce from Mr. Minks, and I was trying to hide the money from him. So, and then,
babe, you can't do that, because the account that you opened, the tax responsible customer, according to the accounts that you opened, were the children.
Correct.
You gave the children Social Security number. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
You made a gift to the children, an irrevocable gift to the children of any money that you put in this account, and you put a stamp on that when you said, I don't pay any income tax on the interest. The children do, and here's the children's Social Security number, because they can accumulate so much interest without having to pay taxes on it. So you can't cut it both ways. You can't hide money from the IRS, and you can't hide money from him. Simple. Now, you could transfer the money from those accounts from one bank to another. You can take that money and you can buy a bond, as long as it's in the same amount. You can take that money and you can buy stocks, as long as you're acting reasonably, I assume. But you can't take that money and pay for your own expenses and hide money because you're going through a divorce. You can't do that. Simple.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So now I have to know how much money was in the accounts, and I have to see a statement of the account. How long were you planning this divorce?
Since July.
I want to see a statement of the account prior to that.
I don't have one, Your Honor.
All right.
There's an order of protection Mr. Minks put on me. I have no access to my records.
Fine. Since I don't have that information, I'm going to direct that that information be faxed to Chambers from your bank within the next 24 hours. What was the date of your separation?
November 18th, I believe it was. Your
That was the date of your separation. When did the trouble start?
Can you be more specific?
Well, when do you think, Mr. Minks, that your former wife would have started to secrete money in the children's account?
I would have no way of anticipating that.
When did you get the first clue that she didn't like you?
She gave, I believe she gave me some self-help divorce papers in November.
In November?
Yeah.
That was your first clue she didn't like you?
We have had ups and downs, but generally they smooth out over time, so I had anticipated.
Well, if she gave you self-help papers in November, that doesn't mean she woke up one morning, Mr. Minks, and said, today I'm going to get the papers. That means maybe she was thinking about it in September or October or July Of 02. Do you understand?
A reasonable person would do so, yes.
Yeah, a reasonable person would think that that's probably a possibility. So what I'm going to have you do, Ms. Boris, is to furnish this court within 24 hours bank statements on these two accounts dating back to June of 2002. The highest amount that was contained in these accounts for each of the boys will be the amount that the court will incorporate in a judgment. Do you understand?
I do, Your Honor.
You got my order?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are this is case number 126 on the calendar in the matter of Collins versus Borigirdi. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. and Mrs. Collins, it is your claim that the defendant vandalized your van.
Yes, ma'am.
Van is in both of your names. That's why you're both here. The defendant says she didn't do it, and your accusation is ridiculous. Mr. Collins, I gather that when you were briefly separated from your wife, you dated also very briefly the defendant. It's your claim that when you got back with your wife, the two ladies didn't get along, and then there has been a series of altercations between the two of them.
Sure.
Culminating in this incident with your van. So when was your van vandalized? When was your van vandalized?
On January 6th, 2003.
And where had it been parked, sir?
In a church parking lot.
Are you affiliated with the church?
No, I'm not.
What was it doing there?
The church basically lets the apartment complex park, because we don't have too much parking in our apartment complex, so they let cars park there if there's no parking.
So this happened January 6, 2003. Did you see the defendant vandalize your car?
No, ma'am.
Who did?
Actually, nobody witnessed it. The only thing that we have is my wife's friend, Heather, who's sitting right here. She's seen Miss Borigirdi leaving in her car the night when that happened.
She came to our house about 4:30 in the morning.
On what morning?
The day his car got vandalized, at the 6th?
Yes, the
6th. She came over banging on our door.
Did you go over to their house 4:30 in the morning?
I went at 2 in the morning after they had broken my car window.
Okay, so you went there 2 in the morning. And why did you go there 2 in the morning?
Basically, after I made the police report, I went over there to confront her to tell her to pay for my car.
You thought that Mrs. Collins broke your car window.
I walked out and saw her car by my car drive away, and she yelled at me, "That's what you get." With both of them in the
just
car.
A minute, and they were both in the car.
And my
And you
friend
went there
here
at 2
witnessed
o'clock
that
in the
also.
morning.
Yeah.
Well, that was stupid.
I know, I guess it was, but I
Well,
mean,
have you been doing other stupid things to them?
Nothing stupid, no.
Huh?
No, ma'am.
So at 2 o'clock in the morning, you went over there and told them to pay for the window. And what did they do?
She just kept saying that she didn't do it and get out of here, I'm going to call the police. And I just kept saying, you did do it, I want you to pay for it. Go ahead, call the police, because I'm not doing anything wrong. Tell them to come here.
So you went over there to have an argument with her?
Basically, I guess.
Yes.
I called the... Sorry.
You went over there to have an argument with her, and you did?
Yeah.
And did you get satisfaction? Did she pay for the window?
No, she didn't.
So I assume that when you left, you were very angry.
Well, I just...
Of course you were. Sure. You were very angry when you went over there. So when you got no satisfaction, you were even angrier when you left. Is that a fair statement? Of course it is. Stand up here. Tell me your name.
Heather Roberts.
You saw her car?
Yes.
What time?
It was after the cops had left, so it was like early morning around
After
there.
the cops had left who?
Their house.
Our house. They came to our house.
And you all lived together?
No.
No, she came
I
to
came
pick up
over
my daughter.
to get the baby.
What baby?
Her baby.
For what?
Because of all that conflict.
We didn't want the baby around.
Yeah.
Are you a neighbor?
Well, I'm her best friend.
She's my daughter's
I just
godmother.
live like a block away.
And you were there after the police left?
Yeah.
What did you see?
I saw her car, and I saw her with the blonde girl getting into the car next to the church parking lot. And then I left.
Had you seen a blonde girl there that evening?
They came to my door. Her and that lady came to my door, screaming and yelling. They threatened our car. We have incident reports, we have police reports, everything. She left before the cops. We told her to wait, and she left.
Is there anything else around this church parking lot?
Not really.
Now, when you say you saw the defendant's car, had it been parked?
Yeah, it was like if you pull up in front of the church, the parking lot next to it's not that far away.
The location where you saw them getting into the car, was that a parking space or was it just...
It was on the street.
What does that mean on the street?
Fire zone.
pulled up in front of the church.
So it's not a parking space?
No.
Actually,
it's just on the street.
I'm not speaking to you. So it is not a parking space?
No.
That's all I wanted to know.
Thank you.
Can I see damage to the van?
Yes. I have pictures of all the damage. You want police reports?
Yes.
I got estimates, bill of sale on the vehicle.
What do you mean bill of sale?
It got towed.
It got towed.
We couldn't move it.
And I couldn't pay for the towing costs or anything like that. It was towed because it was vandalized in a church parking lot.
It's towed because it was vandalized in a church parking lot. Well, that's not a violation of the law.
The church towed
I know.
it. The church towed it because we couldn't move it.
And I also have...
Just a sec. Don't give me a lot of baloney. Vandalized doesn't mean that you can't drive it.
The tires were slashed. And the windows were all busted out. There's glass everywhere.
There's blood all over the car.
Yeah, it wasn't drivable.
There's blood all over the car?
There was blood
There was
all over
blood.
the car.
It's a malicious act.
One of you must have gotten hurt when you did this to the car. Police saw fresh blood on the ground. Okay. What is this that you're giving me?
It's a bill of sale.
No, it isn't. It's baloney.
That's what, I mean, we didn't...
It's baloney.
That's the only thing that we had. We didn't have any documents or anything like that. We just signed over the car and I asked them for a bill of sale.
Let me explain something to you, sir. You see something's written over here?
Yeah. At the time, when we were signing it, the pen ran out of ink. If you could see in my signature, it's also like kind of faded. It was running out of ink, and then we had to grab another pen. There's nothing phony about that, actually, Your Honor.
Could somebody find out the book value on a 1987 van, GMC Safari minivan? Or do you think you can get me that information from the Blue Book?
Sure.
Thank you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Either you're the worst horse trader or you're just a bad fibber. So you try to give me this piece of garbage, which is meaningless, nothing. You made it up yesterday.
And later today,
he's cussing and he's screaming. He's going to kill the dog. He's going to barbecue it. He's going to skin it alive. She was hysterical. She thought he was going to kill me, come back and kill her. He terrified us.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Chad and Patty Collins claim Chad's ex-girlfriend, Maury Borigierdi, vandalized their van.
What is it again?
It's a 1987 GMC Safari minivan. Let's get it in fair condition.
Okay. Fair condition. I think it's $750.
$750. So you see, Mr. Collins, either you're the worst horse trader or you're just a bad fibber, because you say you paid $3,000 for the car. Where'd you get $3,000 from?
Actually, I didn't pay the whole $3,000. I paid $500 up front, and I'm still paying it off right now.
Show me.
Show you?
Yeah.
I don't have any proof of that right now.
Right.
I do not.
Correct. You see, I didn't even know that when I said this was a lot of baloney. Because if this is a bill of sale, it would have said that you were purchasing a car for $3,000 with a $500 deposit and the rest being paid at the rate of $100 a week or $200 a week. Do you understand? So you try to give me this piece of garbage, which is meaningless, nothing. You made it up yesterday, so that it goes in the garbage. That's one thing. Now, so far, I gather that you paid $500 for this old van, if that. The van, according to the Blue Book, is worth $750. You're suing her for $4,000. That means your 87 Safari is the only one in town that's appreciated in value in the last 8 months. Do you understand, Mr. Collins?
Yeah, I understand.
You got it. Good. I'm glad. You got it. I mean, I don't know whether you think that everybody's stupid, but I guarantee you, not all people over 40 are stupid. And as we get older, some of us get smarter. However, you vandalized his van. You and your girlfriend. I don't know which one of you got cut, and quite frankly, I don't give a rat's behind which one of you got cut. You did it because you were in a bad mood, in a foul mood. You called the police. You couldn't even control yourself, because after you called the police, you went storming over to their house. Quiet! You went storming over to their house. You were furious. It was in the middle of the night, and you got zero satisfaction. You and your girlfriend found his van and proceeded to slash his tires and bust out the windows. That's going to cost you $750. Judgment for the plaintiff. Get out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She can't get over the fact that I don't want him. She thinks I want him.
She's obsessed. She needs help.
I obviously broke up with him for a reason.
She calls, peeks out the window, follows him around.
She's insecure and pathetic, actually.
It's really sad.
Get a life.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Davis versus Kennedy. Step forward, please.
Contractor Mike Davis is suing his neighbor, realtor Sheila Kennedy, for the cost of 48 chickens. Mike claims Sheila's dachshund killed them.
Mr. Davis, you and Miss Kennedy are neighbors, I gather from your complaint. And you, for some bizarre reason, decided to get your daughter a whole bunch of chickens for pets or whatever. Miss Kennedy had a little dachshund dog, and it is your claim that her dog, being attracted by your chickens, used to dig a hole under the fence, I assume, get in there and kill your chickens. So you want her to pay, I don't know, $1,400 for dead chickens. Ms. Kennedy says, A, you don't have any proof that my dog actually did this dastardly deed, but that you made her life and the life of her daughter so miserable that she's counterclaiming for harassment. She says because you were so miserable, she had to give her dog away. She gave her dog to the pound because she was afraid that you were going to come and hurt the dog. Do you live in a residential neighborhood, or is it a farm?
It's residential, half-acre horse property.
Well, that's not a very big property. How many chickens did you buy your daughter?
Over the years, they allowed horses, goats. We've had goats on the property.
Just answer my
Total
question.
chickens, 52 chickens.
52 chickens.
One a week for a whole year.
Why did you do that?
My daughter's had chickens since she was in diapers.
Well, that's fine, but why 52? Why not 3? Or 5, or something manageable?
We just accumulated 52 by, just off number, but that's how many accumulated over the years.
When did you begin noticing that the birds were dying?
Approximately 2 years ago.
And 2 years ago, did you think that Miss Kennedy's dog was the responsible culprit?
No.
How did you think they were dying?
Well, they're not really dying. They come up missing. Yeah. I work 12-hour days, so I'm gone all day long. My wife's got me trained. I just go to work, keep my mouth shut. And so over the last couple of years, we see a couple chickens missing here and there, and we just keep buying them, keep buying them, keep buying them. I'm even housebroken. But anyways, we just accumulated these chickens over the years. We didn't notice it for the first year, but after the second year, their dog came over in our yard, friends with our dogs, our neighbors. But after a while, then we started seeing the dog's tracks from our property back over to their property. We go underneath the neighbor's fence, then back over their fence. And now we did catch the dog a couple of times in the chicken pen. And when he got away quick enough, my daughters chased it out a couple of times. But one time personally, when I went back in there, I did find 2 dead chickens. It snaps the necks, that's what it does. That's how it kills them.
Did you actually ever see her dog kill any of your chickens?
Actually kill it? No.
Did you actually see her dog with any of your chickens in its mouth?
I did find my chickens, or parts of my chickens, in her dog's backyard. We used to have a joke about it. It was called a con dog. The dog would come over, get into the chicken pen. You follow me now to my house so I can kill you there, or I kill you here.
So who was smarter, the chickens or the dog?
It's definitely the dog. Definitely the dog. Chickens aren't too bright. Look at this
Mr.
one
Davis,
here.
come on, Mr. Davis, I can't get too exercised over this. You understand that?
Yes.
It wasn't a vicious dog or anything.
Only on chickens. People, other dogs, it's fine. No problem at all.
You think that any actions that you took caused Miss Kennedy to get rid of her dog?
By all means.
What did you do?
I was over her house 3 times in the last 2 years.
Did you get a little bit nuts?
Yes. Final time I did, I admit. I did apologize. I didn't know the kids were there. This is the first time I ever saw the kids. It was the 3rd time I was over her house.
What did you expect her to do with her dog?
I asked the first time just to fence it off. Fence her property off. Keep the dog in your own yard. Do what is necessary.
Why didn't you do that, Miss Kennedy?
I did. We have a fence around the whole yard. It just kept digging out. It's a Dachshund. They're known for digging. I did everything I could. Even in the picture of my dog, you can see I have bricks all along the fences. Every time it would dig, I'd put something in it. I tried everything I could to keep the dog in the yard. I couldn't. The chickens
That's a dachshund?
bigger than the dog.
That's a dachshund?
That's a dachshund.
Looks like there's a little bit of a beagle in there.
It probably was a mix. It's not a purebred.
No, it isn't.
No. It's a tiny dog.
A little tall for a dachshund.
Little tall for dachshund is right. Well, it evidently doesn't like chickens. All likes to sort of con them. Looks to me as if she did, in fact, try, Mr. Davis, to keep her dog in. She wasn't very successful, though.
Your Honor, the main thing that I was concerned about is it's not the cost of the chickens or anything. This is our only daughter. We don't have any other kids. And we've had a goat there on the property. She had chickens long before. She's got 2 dogs. She has a thing about dressing animals up. She dresses her dogs up and takes them down, parades them. She took 2 of these baby chicks that she had as a day old. She raised them up to 4 months. She dresses them up with little baby clothes. And this is when she was younger, of course. And she would parade down the main street for the parade, you know, the kids' pet parade. You know, it just sort of keep her occupied, keep her mind off boys, you know.
Sounds, Mr. Davis, all sounds terrific.
Mm-hmm.
Shh. So what you're telling me is you lost it the 3rd time around because your only child was upset.
Very.
It's not an excuse for losing it. I mean, it does look as if Miss Kennedy tried to keep her dog inside.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a fence, she's got bricks, but other than tethering the dog to a tree or something, there isn't much you can do. Dog wants to get out, dog's going to get out. I mean, it looks to me as if they were trying to keep their dog on their property. The whole thing is very unfortunate, but not something that belongs in the courtroom. You know, Miss Kennedy's counterclaim was that Mr. Davis came over to your house and scared you to death.
Yes, absolutely.
Want to tell me about that?
Sure. He came over, he followed me into the driveway. I have 4 kids. I have 2 younger than this. And I was trying to get the kids out of the car and into the house. He comes storming out of his truck and screaming at me again about the chickens, which the last episode was over a year ago. So I thought, oh, here he comes again about the chickens. So this time he's cussing and he's screaming and he's gonna kill the dog, he's gonna barbecue it, he's gonna skin it alive. I'm telling him, could you just stop and wait till the kids get into the house? It's her dog, it's Alexis's dog. She was just hysterical. She was crying, shut up, shut up. She's running into the house, slamming the door. She thought he was going to kill me. He thought she was going to come back and kill her. I took the dog immediately to the pound after he left and gave it to the pound. I said, you know, she was devastated, but I just could not have him come to my house again. I have these 4 kids, it's just me, and he terrified us.
Go ahead.
When I pulled up to the property, I got out of my truck and I was raising Cain. When I noticed there was 2 kids, she asked me to stop. I did stop, and I said, quote, I apologize, but this crap has got to stop.
So it stopped. It stopped because she took the dog, and she put the dog in the pound, and hopefully the dog was adopted by some lovely family. I'm sure that the dog was adopted by some lovely family that didn't have chickens as a next-door neighbor.
Right.
That takes care of your counterclaim. It all just went a little bit too far. Mr. Davis, there are lots of reasons that your chicks could come up missing. One reason could be a stranger's dog, could be another neighbor's dog, according to you. There were lots of dogs around the neighborhood that played in the yard. And even, it's unfortunate, but I don't think she's responsible. I think she exercised reasonable caution in trying to prevent from happening, keeping her dog penned in. Didn't work out. She had enough, and she gave the dog away. Not every action requires a lawsuit. This is one of those cases. How many chicks do you have left?
Right now, I have 4 chickens. One of them was not in the pen where they were being attacked from.
Right now you have 4. Is that right?
Correct.
That's enough. That's all.
Shh. Case number 133 on the calendar, Your Honor, in the matter of McFerrin versus Wimberly. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Miss McFerrin, Mr. Wimberly is your former husband.
Yes.
And this young lady is his present wife.
Yes.
Who is this gentleman?
This is my fiance.
How long were you and Mr. Wimberly married?
We were legally married about 4 to 5 years, but together 13 years.
And you have children?
Mm-hmm.
How many children do you
We
have?
have 2 children.
How old are they?
7 and 10.
And who has primary physical custody of the children?
I do.
When do the children go to visit Mr. Wimberly?
He gets them on the 1st, 3rd, and 5th weekends of the month. And he gets them at Christmas and holidays. We alternate, and a month out of the summer.
You say no, sir.
No, I get him whenever she wants me to see, lets me see him.
Well, that's your fault. Because if you are entitled to the 1st, 3rd, and 5th weekend of each month, plus Christmas and holidays or whatever, and if you choose not to exercise that visitation, you can't blame it on anybody else.
I go to the places to pick him up, Your Honor, and she doesn't bring him.
Then you take her to court, and you file for contempt of the order.
That costs money.
Of visitation. No, it doesn't. You can go into court without a lawyer. I'm telling you that, Mr. Wimberly. That's where I was for a long time.
Okay.
You pay child support as well.
Yes, Your Honor.
How much do you pay in child support?
$200 a week, $10,400 a year.
This is what your lawsuit is about, Ms. McFerrin. That when the children were visiting their father on 2 separate occasions, their stepmother cut their hair. And did she color one of their hair as well?
The 10-year-old, she had it bleach blonde.
The boy?
Yes.
And then it is your claim that after she did that, she took your daughter, who's 7, in to have her ear pierced? All of this without your permission?
All of it without my permission.
And then she called Child Protective Services and made complaints about you.
Right.
For all of that, you want her to pay you thousands of dollars, $5,000.
And false police reports.
And false police reports. She says that the kids wanted new hairstyles, which is why she did it. And your daughter, who's 7, wanted her ear pierced, which is why she did it. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And she did call Child Protective Services because she says that the allegations were true.
Yes, ma'am.
So I have a couple of questions for you, sir. Just for you.
Okay.
When your children came to visit you, on what day was the first haircut?
The first one was June 25th, 2002.
And it's acknowledged you agree that you were not involved in this beautician stuff. Is that right?
Well, I mean, I knew it was taking place. I mean, I was there.
You were there?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, they're my kids. I mean, if they want a haircut and it's a birthday and they want the haircut, I'm going to give them a haircut. I mean.
Just a second. You were there when your son's hair was bleached?
Yes. That was the one was in Louisiana. Yes, ma'am.
Why did you permit that?
He's 10 years old. It's his birthday. He wanted his hair changed. I mean, he's 10 years old. I don't see the problem with that.
When the children get their hair cut and when Krishna got her ears pierced, Neil knew about it. Mr.
I don't care whether they knew about it or not.
I have a tape saying he didn't know about the ear piercing.
Is that right, sir?
I knew about the ear piercing. I wasn't present at the ear piercing.
Well, did your wife call and say to you, I'd appreciate it if you didn't cut the kids' hair when they're with you?
I'm not saying she didn't, Your
I'm
Honor.
asking you whether she did.
I don't recall.
Did you call and say to him, please
Yes,
don't
I
cut-"
said, I told them, do not touch her hair again, because at the time I wasn't worried about my son.
That was June of 2002. And then in
and
July...
the very next time they went, she cut it again. It was less than
Which
a
is
month.
just a second. Why did you cut their hair again if their mother had said, don't do it?
I was never told by Miss McFerrin never to cut their hair.
Wasn't your husband?
Not to my knowledge, he wasn't. Maybe through the children he might have been, but I never heard anything about it.
Do husbands, I mean, do fathers have rights?
That's not what I'm asking you. In my court, fathers have a lot of rights if they use their brains. If you're using your children to irritate her, then you're an idiot. And you're not being a good father. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor, it's not
All
like
right.
that.
Then what I'm asking you is, did your former wife call you and say, do me a favor, please don't cut our daughter's hair?
I wasn't that nice.
Or you better not cut their hair again if they're with you. Do you recall that?
I do not recall that. I'm not saying she didn't. I do not recall that. But I do not like talking to her, so.
It's hard to have a civil conversation.
Let me explain something to you. You are, within the context of this family, between these two people, a non-entity. And what I found most interesting about your answer was that you keep referring to the fact that we have custody. We, meaning the two of you, have joint custody of the children. My husband and I share custody of his 2 children with Tina. You do not. You do not have anything.
That's right.
He has. So you do not exercise any jurisdiction over these children.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
The other thing that struck me is that the thing that really bothers you is that he pays, according to you, $866 of monthly child support that I'm sure burns your tail.
No, ma'am.
It's even in police report and CPS reports. They complain about having to pay child support.
Yeah. It bothers me when I pay it when I don't see my kids. And she doesn't work.
Mr. Wimberly, you should not allow your wife to do anything that irritates the mother of your children.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Do you understand me, Mr. Wimberly?
I understand that I had no rights then.
You are dumb as a bucket of rocks.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tina McFerrin says her ex-husband's new wife, Lori Wimberly, cut her children's hair and pierced her daughter's ears without her permission. She also claims Lori filed false reports with CPS.
Your job is to make sure that you and your wife, how old are you, by the way?
28.
And how old is she?
19.
She
and
just
you've been
turned
together
19.
how long?
Since
2
she was
years.
16.
Shut! I didn't speak to you.
2 years.
Your job is to make sure that you or your teenage bride don't do anything to upset the mother of your children, who is the children's custodian, because even though you've made some mistakes, which you have, Mr. Wimberly, I know that you have.
I'm not saying I'm
social
perfect.
mistakes. Even though you've made certain social mistakes, the children are the innocents. So that if you know that it irritates the custodian of your children for you or your teenage bride to take them to the hairdresser and have their hair chopped, then you say to your bride, don't do it. I don't want to put the children in the middle of this. I don't want to upset her, because after all, they have to go back to her. Do you understand me, Mr. Wimberly?
I understand that I had no rights then.
You are dumb as a bucket of rocks. Don't you understand what I just said to you? Aren't you have rights, sir? Your responsibility is to see to it that your children are not stressed by living with a custodian that you purposely stress out. Because if what you're saying to me at age 28, that you don't understand the difference between what your rights are, yeah, I could take my kids and I can take them to have their hair cut. I have rights, I'm a father. And then your kids have to go home and listen to her shrieking because you cut their hair. I'm saying to you, your responsibility is different from your right. Do you get it now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you may choose to ignore it. If you do so, then two innocent people, that is your children, are going to continue to suffer because you are a pig-headed, dumb as a bucket of rocks father who's 28 years old, couldn't keep his pants zipped, got together with a 16-year-old, left their children, left their wife, and married somebody who was 17 years old, who he allows in 2002, when she was 17 years old, 2001, to take his children to a hairdresser and have their hair chopped off twice. That's what you did, sir.
And, Your Honor, also, they've done these false police reports that I have to continually deal with.
What
CPS
false police reports, Ms. McFerrin?
This one was for April 22nd, 2002. And they said I kicked their dog, and I kicked it so much that its guts were coming out.
It died.
No, Your Honor,
And
that's
it
not
killed. I killed the dog.
Who saw her kick the dog?
I did. She showed up at my residence.
I was in the shower, Your Honor.
You were in the shower?
It was midnight, beating on my house, and she went to the door. I was in the shower.
It was around 11:30.
What'd you go to the house for?
It was about 10 o'clock in the evening.
What did you go to the
pick up
house?
my children's baseball uniforms that they did not send back after the weekend visit.
What time did you go to the house to get them?
I called them about 10 o'clock, right before 10, to discuss it with them about the uniforms and asked them to bring them to the house.
And?
They refused. They said, we're not bringing it.
Who did you speak to?
Lori, because I'm not allowed to talk to Neil.
Why not?
She will not let me talk to him.
Okay. Yeah, remember having that conversation with her?
I do remember that. I had asked her if we could meet somewhere because she waited so late in the evening, and she refused. She said, bring it to my house. And she hung up the phone and kept hanging up the phone. And then at 11:30, 12, she shows up, banging on the door. I heard a big boom in the front of the house. And
When I spoke with her on the phone,
I had opened the door, and she was walking down. We have like a patio kind of, and I just saw her. She kicked a can full of nails because we were building, and then she kicked the puppy, and the dog ran off.
That's a lie.
Shh. Let me see the police report.
She doesn't even mention me.
The police doubt your story. They say that the puppy had an old cast on its leg.
No, it was a new cast.
No, the police said that the puppy had an old, dirty cast on his paw.
No.
That's what the police said.
It was outright lie.
And that you said yourself to the police that the dog had broken its leg because you stepped on its paw a few days earlier.
When she ran out there, and when I got out there, she was already leaving. She had called the cops. The nails were everywhere, and the dog was screaming, and the next day the dog would not eat or nothing, and the dog died. His whole stomach was exploded. He could not eat. He died.
Your Honor, they don't even have a fence around their yard. Why would they leave a pet that's injured out in the front yard?
Well,
There's no animals.
He was holding the pet, according to the police officer, anyway. what I'm telling you is, you got to stop doing this to each other, because what you're doing is hurting your children.
You're right.
They're
you're
in
right.
counseling
Well,
now.
but you know, you're right. But it seems to me that you are doing things, Mr. Wimberly, to exacerbate a problem. If you return the children to their mother after a visitation and neglected to put their uniforms into their bag, how far is it to her house?
About 25 miles.
25, then you get in your car and you bring the uniforms.
See, she called in late. I work. I go in at 4. I go in at 4 in the morning.
Don't speak. I'm not speaking to you.
I work. She doesn't work. I can't get up at midnight and do an hour turnaround when I
She
go in
didn't
at 4.
call you at midnight.
She called at 10. But at 10 o'clock, being at o'clock, we work at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Just listen to me, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, you're going to fall over your own tie. She called you at 10. According to you, she doesn't work, so she could have come over to get him because you work at 4 o'clock in the morning, so you were going to sleep. Is that right?
I wasn't asleep, but I should have been.
Just a second. Then you just told me that you didn't see what happened outside because you were in the shower the whole time.
I was in a shower.
Well, if you were in the shower, sir, then you weren't sleeping.
I wasn't sleeping.
That's right. So
back.
if you weren't sleeping and if you wanted to keep peace, so you weren't sleeping 2 hours later, you could have gotten up at 10 o'clock from the couch where you were watching TV, gotten in the car because you forgot the uniforms, driven them over there, and been back by 11. Then you could have been in the shower by 11:30 and not had all this problem. You were the ones who forgot the uniforms, right?
Yes, sure.
You weren't going to sleep. You don't do things to frustrate her. That should be first and foremost in your mind. Not who's right, who's wrong, I've got to exercise my rights. That's what you do.
Your Honor, when she went and got my daughter's ear pierced, she signed this form stating that she is the parent or guardian. They were not even married at that time, and he did not know about the ear piercing. And I have a tape saying that when they got home, I was surprised about it.
He didn't know about the ear piercing. Isn't that right, sir?
I knew they were going to do it.
He was called, I had called him from my cell phone when we were at Walmart. We went to Walmart, Krishna was looking at earrings. I wish my mommy would have pierced my ears. And
then you say what? What would you say today?
we had waited for,
Now we'll say no.
waited for Tina to do it.
My daughter
It's not your job. They're not your children. You take them to lunch, you take them to a movie, you take them to a park, you take them to the beach. If your husband's not around, if he's working, and he should always be around when the children are there. When you have visitation with your children, there should never be a time when you are not with your children, sir.
Only when I work on Saturdays.
Then if you work on Saturdays, sir, then maybe they should be with their mother on Saturday.
Yes, ma'am.
Because this is going to be friction. I'm going to explain why it's going to be friction. Because your wife probably wants to have a child with you. You don't have children together?
No, ma'am.
But she
And they've been
probably
trying.
would. What?
That's her whole upset, I think.
No.
She would probably like to have children.
No, Your Honor, we were pregnant at
We
one
were.
time, and we miscarried, and Miss McFerrin drove all the way to my residence to say congratulations on the baby when she found out that we had lost it.
She's evil. That's evil.
I swear to life on that.
Evil.
Exactly.
It's not what I'm saying to you.
Sure,
What I'm
understand.
saying to you is you want to have a family. She
Eventually.
would like to have a family.
Yes,
It's
Your Honor.
frustrating for her knowing that it's going to be financially difficult for her to have a family because you're paying so much out of what you earned for your old family. I've heard this 100 times before. What I'm saying to you, sir, is you have to be smart. You have to say, if I'm going to have visitation with my children, I have to be there. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now let's get back to visitation.
The children are in counseling right now because they have told the children if they live with me, I'm going to kill them. They have told the children I have AIDS. They will not come pick them up.
Go ahead.
Can I speak for 1 second? Okay, the weekend that we cut my children's hair in Louisiana, we came back. That following Wednesday, we had received a letter in the mail. Circumstances beyond her control, which to me sound like she cannot drive. She cannot bring them to the meeting point in the divorce decree.
Why couldn't you meet them?
Because this is what they did to my children's hair, and I wasn't going to do anything to help them out to do
That's wrong. Absolutely wrong.
Right.
You don't get even by harming your children.
Right. That's why I said they can come get them.
What did I say to him?
Exactly.
You sound like you sound like you suffer from the same dumb as a bucket of rock syndrome. When was the last time you saw your children?
When I cut their hair. I ain't seen them in over 2 months.
Well, that's outrageous.
April 8th.
When are you supposed to see them again?
I get them July 1st.
I'm sorry.
You have nothing to do with this. This is not your business. Don't you understand that?
I was supposed to.
This is not your business.
July 1st, I was supposed to get them for a month. I didn't see them on Father's Day or nothing.
Well, are you planning to take the children to the meeting place so we can pick them up July 1st?
As long as their counselor says that they're stable enough
Listen
to
to
go.
me. As long as there's a court order for visitation, it's your responsibility to comply with that order. Do you understand?
Yes.
I mean, I certainly hope that somebody is going to say to you, as frankly as I'm saying to you, your children are supposed to see their father. And the fact that you have taken that away, eventually, if you do that, they're going to hate you. I'm telling you, they may not hate you when they're 7 and 10. They'll hate you when they're 15 and 12. They will hate you. Listen, you don't have a case. I can't fix the world in a half hour. I can't fix the world. I can't fix the world in an hour. This is not a battle between the two of you. This is supposed to be a joint effort to raise 2 healthy children. Get on it. Goodbye.
Brown's 16-year-old son, Don Trail, made his 16-year-old daughter pregnant. Denise lost the baby. Now Vincent wants them to share the medical costs.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Judge, this is number 84 on the calendar in the matter of Heron versus Brown. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
This is a sad case. Sit down. Pay attention to me, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Heron, this is your daughter, I assume.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are suing the defendant, who is the mother of this young man, I assume.
Yes, I am.
Because you say that her son made your daughter pregnant. She had a miscarriage. Your medical bills for the miscarriage were almost $2,000, and you want her to pay half. Is that what this lawsuit is about?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I'd like you to step up here. You too. When did your daughter tell you she was pregnant?
The date was. When was the date? I don't.
End of September, I believe.
It was around the end of September. That's when I learned of it.
Were you dating?
Yes.
Ms. Brown.
Yes.
I know what the lawsuit is with regard to Mr. Heron. I'd like to hear from you as to why you don't believe you should be responsible for half of these medical bills. Your son is how old, 16?
16, yes. First of all, I don't believe that I'm responsible for half these medical bills because there was never a paternity test to prove that Dontrell was the father. Plus, all the stress that her dad put on her after he found out she was pregnant. I think it was about the latter part of August, I got a call from Mr. Heron telling me that Denise had got caught shoplifting a home pregnancy test, and he was really upset and telling me that he had been nice to Dontrell and Dontrell had took advantage. And when I told him, well, it wasn't all Dontrell's fault, and then he tells me, well, yeah, she's the one that came to your house like a common and laid up with them. And so then the next thing I know, she's crying, saying that he had beat her.
Who beat her?
Her father, because he wasn't gonna let her have a, can I say the word?
I would prefer you didn't.
Okay, well, baby. And she stayed with her friends' houses, and even my daughter was concerned about her and was gonna let her stay with her because she was going through a bunch of turmoil. And I feel that all the stress that he put on her, and first of all, you know that being pregnant for the first time, you're scared as it is.
Well, how old are you?
16.
16?
And to have undue stress and pressure put on you by someone that's supposed to be protecting you then. So I feel that he caused a miscarriage by all the stress. And that there was never a paternity test to say that Dontrell was a father, I don't see how he can tell me that I'm responsible for half the medical bills.
Mr. Herron, I'd like to hear from you.
Yes. This is absurd for them to even suggest that her son is not the father. It's an insult and it's appalling.
Well, I don't think it's an insult and it's appalling, Mr. Herron, at all. Quite frankly, I'll address that. I'll address that first, and then I'll get to the stress part.
I would like to say that my daughter has been an honor student for her tenure in school. She's currently the treasurer of her high school. She was elected that. She doesn't sleep around or fool around or anything. This was the only boy that she had been seeing. And the first time I met this young man was he had been arrested for drugs at his junior high school. Helen here, she's is pulling, anything, this stuff about beating Denise is just totally absurd.
Is that true, sir?
It's absolutely not.
Did your father hit you, Denise?
No.
No. Would you tell me if he did?
Yes.
Mr. Herron, what Ms. Brown is saying is not so bizarre as you may think, sir. Two 16-year-olds having sex unprotected, whether it was with him or with anybody else, is stupid. Two 16-year-olds having sex is stupid. Two 16-year-olds having unprotected sex is more stupid, or as my grandson would say, stupider. So, while I'm certain that Dontrell would probably stand up here and proclaim from the rooftops that this was his baby, is that right?
Yes. Well, even after the miscarriage, they stopped by the house. She even offered to help Denise raise the child.
His mother is a little more practical. His mother says, I'm not sure, because 16-year-old with all that testosterone flowing says, yes, the baby is mine. His mother says, how can you be sure?
Well, it's the only thing she has for her defense. This is her defense in chief, and it's all she's got.
Well, Mr. Herron, it's a very good defense, sir.
Well, when I asked her you didn't offer her, a dime, and she knows deep in her heart. She professes to be a Christian and to come to this court and even suggest that he's not the father.
That's not what she's suggesting, sir. She's not suggesting that he's not the father.
But there's a possibility that...
What she's saying is, under the law, in this jurisdiction and in every other jurisdiction, when you have a child out of wedlock, there is no presumption as who the father is. And in order to determine that, we now have very sophisticated testing to determine parentage of children. You know about those tests. They have blood tests, they have DNA tests, and they can prove within 100% who's the father of that child. What Ms. Herron is saying is, under the law, there is no proof that Dontrell is the father of this child. When you're married, it's a different story. When you're married, the law presumes that you are.
So we're left to go with a preponderance of the evidence here, which my daughter doesn't sleep around. They know that. They know what kind of girl she is. She doesn't have time for it. She's an honor student. She's, keep track of her, as best I can.
You didn't keep track of her very well, sir.
But if she was such an
Just a second, you didn't keep track of her very well.
Well, I said as best I can. I do operate a business, and
Mr. Herron, that's what Ms. Brown is saying.
But if she was such an honorable student and such an honorable person, she wouldn't have swore to tell the truth and then turned around and lied, but you never beat her.
You're the one who's...
Listen to me, don't fight with each other. Did you tell Dontrell, who was your boyfriend, that your father hit you at some point in the kitchen in your home? Because that's what's in these papers. Did you tell... No, look at me, don't look at the floor, Ms. Herron. Did you tell that to him?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If my 16-year-old daughter came home pregnant, I guarantee you there'd be a lot of stress in my household. A lot of stress.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. The father of 16-year-old Denise Herron wants Helen Brown to pay the medical cost for Denise's miscarriage because he says Helen's son, Dontrell, was the father.
Did you tell Dontrell, who was your boyfriend, that your father hit you?
Yes. Yes, I was upset.
So you told that to Dontrell, that your father hit you. What did you tell him about your father hitting you?
What do you mean, what did I tell?
I want you to tell me what you told him.
I
I said that he was yelling and got mad at me and started hitting on me.
Where did he hit you?
Hmm?
Where did he hit you?
He didn't. I just told him that I was upset.
Well, why would you tell him that?
Because I was scared he was going to.
So what you did was you told Dontrell a lie. Is that right? Hmm?
Yes.
Do you understand, Mr. Herron?
Yeah, I understand that I'm out $2,000 in medical bills for an instance that I'm not responsible for. And
listen, you are responsible for it. You are responsible for it because this is your daughter.
Yeah, I can't watch all the time just saying that she can't watch her son, but nonetheless we're responsible for our minor's actions.
Absolutely
now,
right,
I'm willing
sir.
to accept but why should the burden of this whole thing be placed on me?
Mr. Herron, if your daughter had not had this miscarriage, and if she had had a child, and if there was a paternity test, listen to me, if there was a paternity test, and if it was established that this young man was the father of the child, he would be responsible for the support of that child, along with your daughter, until the child reached age 21. Right now, what Miss Brown is saying is that while she believes probably that Dontrell is the father of this child, she's not certain. And she's not certain because of the miscarriage, there is no opportunity to conduct blood tests. And they are not married, so the law does not presume her son is the father of this child. So she doesn't feel as if she should be responsible. And in the law,
Well,
she's
certain. She knows. It's
How
the
does
only,
she know? Listen, the only way you can be certain is if you were there.
That's true. The only, she knows, though she's not admitting to it. You know, she knows. If you ask her in her heart if she feels that there could be anybody other than her son, what would you say, Helen? Does Denise
What's
sleep
in my
around?
heart? I don't know what Denise does. I don't watch Denise.
Tell the court what you think.
I don't watch Denise 24 hours a day, but up until this
You
point,
don't watch him 24 hours.
May I speak, please? I really, like I said, when all of this happened, Denise came to me and I opened up my home and I was there for her. And I really had hoped that she would be lady enough to tell the truth here. But if she can stand here and lie and say that he never hit her and he didn't put her out, why should I believe that it was my son's baby? Because it's so easy for her to tell one lie, she could have told another lie.
Well, what she's already done is she's acknowledged here, after some prodding, that she did, in fact, she says, lie to your son about her father beating her. Now, whether her father beat her or not is really not the issue, but it is an indication that your daughter is able to lie, sir, because she says she lied to him. You understand that? And I understand where you're coming from. You say, listen, there should be two people's responsibility. I absolutely agree with you, Mr.
Quite
Herron.
a bit of lying going on. It seems as if Mr. Trell here would be following in his father's footsteps, who I guess is...
What does his father have to do with
Mr. Herron, don't bring... I would suggest, sir, that you not bring other matters into this case which really bear no relevance to it. Dontrell, I'm going to tell you this. You believe that you were the father of this child?
Yes.
Then you pay back Mr. Herron. Do you understand?
Yes.
Then you, sir, have a moral, if not a legal obligation, to do that. Now, you go to school?
Yes.
Do you work?
Yes.
What do you work at?
At a senior citizens home.
How much do you get paid?
$5 an hour.
And what do you do with that money?
Oh, I haven't gotten paid
Speak
yet.
up, sir.
I haven't gotten paid yet, ma'am.
When did you start working there?
It's just a summer job.
And you're going to keep that summer job?
Yes.
Well, then I would suggest, Mr. Brown, that if you want to try to get back into this family's reasonable graces, you're never going to get into their good graces, but reasonable, and assume some sort of moral responsibility for an act that you probably had something to do with, you will see to it that each time you get a paycheck, Mr. Herron gets a check or a money order. Do you understand?
Yes.
Hey,
yes.
what are you looking at? Where are you looking all over the place? Do you understand that?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You've got to learn to keep your pants zipped up, sir.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Vincent Herron says Helen Brown's teenage son made his teenage daughter pregnant, so they should share the medical costs.
Your mother is quite correct. She's not responsible because they're not able to establish, because there's no baby here, that you're the father of this child. If you believe that you are, sir, you pay for it. You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Well, are you going to do it?
Yes.
Oh boy.
No, I don't. Listen
And
a
I'm the
minute.
only one lying here?
Just a second. I'm telling you this. I don't know whether you two young people still see each other, either with your parents' knowledge or without their knowledge. But if there is any remote possibility that you will have a long-term relationship, any, you better start paying back Mr. Heron. And listen to me, Denise. Look at me. I'm not going to ask you whether you still see him, because I'm not going to create any more difficulty than already exists. But if he doesn't start making those payments, starting this week when he gets paid to your father, I would suggest to you that he does not have the kind of character that you want to hook up with permanently. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Good.
Your Honor, would a
Yes.
preponderance of the evidence suggest here that if he says that he's the father, I know that he is, Denise knows, Helen knows, but wouldn't the preponderance of the evidence indicate that I should get some kind of judgment?
Absolutely not, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely not, sir.
Mm-hmm.
There is not a
It's
preponderance.
as
Listen to
much
me.
in her favor as it is in mine.
Listen to me. Listen to me. You could bring anybody in off the street and say, I believe that they're the father of this unborn child. I want to be paid half of my outlay of medical costs. The only question that I asked your daughter here today, Mr. Heron, was whether or not you beat her. She said initially no. Then we went back to her and I said, did you tell him that your father beat you? She said yes. Listen to me. You say it never happened. That means somebody is lying. Do you understand?
There's no record of violence at our house at all.
No, listen to me. Your daughter said, Mr. Heron, that she told Dontrell that you beat her. That was, therefore, according to you, a lie. Is that right?
What does that have to do with the responsibility of the medical bills here? This is what I'm suing for.
Mr. Heron, you want to, in order for you to establish, to my satisfaction, by a preponderance of the evidence, sir, that this unborn child was his child, I would have to believe...
He said, I said it, she
no,
said it. She's the
I
one
would have to believe your daughter. In a situation where the law in this jurisdiction does not hold any presumption of paternity, I am not prepared to do that. The only thing I am prepared to do is to make a moral judgment that if this young man believes that he is the father of this child, then he has the moral responsibility at age 16 to defray some of the medical costs. But his mother does not have that responsibility, because she is entitled to know whether her son fathered this child before she puts her hand in her pocket.
But yet I'm responsible for my minor. She's not responsible for hers, you know.
No, sir, unfortunately, as the father of a daughter, that's true. That's true. It seems somewhat inequitable. That's what they have paternity tests for, sir.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Could I suggest this? Without the paternity test to indicate that it's 1 in a million chance, is there a possibility to get part of the judgment? I mean, instead of saying that I'm wrong totally, I mean...
No, Mr. Heron, I just told you he's supposed to pay the whole $900, because that's half of your medical bills, $900 and some odd dollars. What is it?
With me saying that I think the baby is mine, but would it matter the cause of the miscarriage? 'Cause
no, doesn't matter the cause of the miscarriage, sir. That's what you put in your answer. You say because her father placed her under a great deal of stress. No. Listen to me. I'm going to get on his case. I want you to be quiet. What you're saying is because her father placed her under a great deal of stress, that caused the miscarriage, and therefore you shouldn't be responsible. I want to tell you something. If my 16-year-old daughter came home pregnant, right, and the father, she said, was another 16-year-old who went to high school, I guarantee you there'd be a lot of stress in my household. A lot of stress. You got to learn to keep your pants zipped up, sir. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Keep yourself busy. Get 2 jobs. Think. Use your brain. You know, this is the time for you to use your brain. I know using other parts of your anatomy don't require that much effort, all right? But get 2 jobs, because he's out money, and if what you believe is true, that you are the father of this child, if you believe that, then you have a responsibility, even at age 16, to help defray the costs. We understand each other?
Yes.
That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
On the next Judge Judy. Alyssa goes with Steve. Steve and Maria had a baby. Alyssa says Maria keyed her Mustang.
Don't give me a lot of baloney. I know everything.
Real people, Judge Judy.
We discussed this in here. I don't want to get into it. If you want to question them, I'm through with the case.
This is really ludicrous that we'd have to be drug into court behind it. I mean, I thought it was a joke when he told me that he was suing me. I really did, because I didn't see how he could. I wouldn't want him to be seeing her anyway, because I don't trust this guy, because he's a total nutcase. He's a totally unbalanced, and if he was to catch them together, if he beat up his own daughter, I'd hate to see what he did to my son.
I just think he was trying to get more money than what, because the bill wasn't really no $900. His insurance paid for half of it, so he's trying to get more into his pocket.
Of jail after he beat his girlfriend.
Order. All rise. Judge, this is number 11 on the calendar in the matter of Thompson versus Thompson. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Well, this is a rather unfortunate intra-family dispute. According to this complaint, Mrs. Thompson, this is one of your sons.
My oldest son.
And this is your youngest son.
Right.
And it says here that you and your youngest son laid out $5,000 in bail money for the defendant.
Yes.
Who was incarcerated at the time for what, sir?
Domestic violence.
Against this lady?
Yes.
Who is now your witness?
Yes.
And you asked your mother and brother to bail you out?
Yes.
So what happened?
Okay, he told us that he would be receiving over $3,000 income tax money, and that he would be able to pay us back.
He called you from jail?
He was calling us from jail every day.
How long had he been in jail at this time?
He had been in there almost 2 months. I guess about seven weeks.
So this wasn't the first time you had been arrested for domestic violence, is that right? How many times have you been arrested for domestic
3.
violence? 3 times?
Yes.
In what period of time?
Like all 10 years.
All involving this lady?
Yes.
This time they kept you in?
Yes.
And you called your mom?
Yes.
So what did you do?
Okay, he was calling me twice a day, and then he was wanting to speak to Stacy, his lady. He wanted to speak to her and the children, and I was allowing because they didn't have a phone. So it ran my bill up to over $400. I'm sorry, it ran it up to $442 in telephone collect calls.
From jail?
And yes, from jail. So she came over and she told...
How close do you live to her?
Across the street. Across the street and maybe 2 buildings down. And he was asking about bailing him out because she was saying that they weren't getting along. I mean, that she was not going to be with him when he came out. And
Stop playing with the paper, sir. Put them down.
And she mentioned another man that she was seeing. And so I mentioned it to Derek, and he felt that he had to, he wanted to be out. He didn't want me to say anything about what was going on over there. In the meantime, she also brought over, they've been together for 6 years living, and she brought over 3 big plastic bags of clothing of his. And she said because when he came out, she didn't want him back there. And
well, so far that sounds smart, but I have a sense that changed.
Yes. So in the meantime, he was calling to ask us if we would bail him out.
So you did? Who put up the money?
My son Daryl put up $2,000. He moved in with me rather than find another place to let his brother have the $2,000 that he was borrowing. And the $3,000 balance, I had to put a lien on my home to put up to make the full amount of the $5,000.
What did you do with the $5,000? Tell me physically, what did you do with it once you had it?
We bailed Derek.
How did you do that?
We used the bail bondsman.
We used the bail bondsman.
And the bail bondsman wanted the whole $5,000.
No, he wanted $2,000 at first, which I had paid up cash, and $3,000 later deferred in payments, which he was supposed to make arrangements to pay back.
And I had to put the lien in my home.
And she put her home up also as
collateral.
Yes, yes.
Was that domestic violence matter finally resolved?
No, it is not.
Well, you know, you get that money back as long as he shows up in court, less
you don't
a fee.
You don't get the 10% back.
We're talking about just the 10%.
Yes, you don't get the 10% back.
Bond,
we have it right here.
His bail was $50,000,
and
we had to put $5,000 there. The $5,000 we don't get back.
Your bail was $50,000?
Yes.
Let me see the papers. This must have been some domestic violence. They don't give murderers $50,000
He had another
bail.
charge also.
What?
Child molestation or whatever.
Yes.
And we did bail him out for that. He is out on bail.
Which child?
I don't know.
One of his children?
Sure
No,
I don't know.
no.
I don't know about it.
Yeah, you had $50,000 bail. That's what it says.
Yes, and we did put up $5,000.
And we had to put the $5,000.
Which he does owe us. Now, another thing, he had said that he was going to pay us back once he got his tax returns, and he had went and filed his taxes.
And this is the
She
proof
has the proof showing that he had received his tax, getting back his income tax money without paying us back the cash money, which we had put up, which he had promised to pay back. Because personally, I had talked to him like twice over the phone. He was saying, "Well, if you bail me out, I promise as soon as I file my taxes, I'm gonna pay you right back or whatever else. I got so and so amount waiting for me."
Did I not offer you $1,000? I had $1,000 of dollars and I gave it to you.
No, you didn't pay me anything.
Don't talk to each other. Talk to me.
Okay.
Yes, you both acknowledge that he offered you $1,000.
He offered me $1,000. I told him I wanted $2,000, which he had owed me, not part of it in payment.
Is your mother's house still collateral for this bail?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Well, why haven't you paid anything to the bail bondsman?
Oh, well, how am I supposed to? I lost my job when I got out.
He gets unemployment.
Just a second.
I do.
But where did you get the $1,000 from?
I was working part-time, and I made $1,000.
So why didn't you just pay that to the bail bondsman to at least take $1,000 off the lien that your mom had on her house?
I guess I wasn't thinking about it.
Sounds to me like you've done a lot of not thinking.
I had made arrangements with the bail bondsman to make payments.
So how many payments did you make to the bail?
I have made none.
Let me understand this. You made arrangements with the bail bondsman to make payments, but you haven't made any.
Yes.
Why not?
Well, I made arrangements with the bail bondsman. He said when I get it, then they give it to him.
But until that time, sir, your mother is on the hook. Why don't you just make the payments to the bail bondsman? Why didn't you give the bail bondsman $1,000 and say, this is on account, take $1,000 off my mother's lien on her house?
It's true.
But in the meantime, he's received the $3,000 tax money that he didn't pay
me back. He said he
What'd you do with
I received $3,000.
Just a second.
He got a van fixed, and it was over $2,000 worth of damage on it.
He took the money and blew it.
No, number one, the van was not, her mother paid for the van to get fixed.
Thank you.
I ain't paid for anything.
Step up here. How can I ask you a couple of questions?
Thank you very much.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
I really feel sorry for your 4 children. God, 4 children. Don't realize the mistake after you have 1 or 2 or 3. You gotta have 4 children with him. Gee whiz.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Daryl Thompson and his mom are suing his brother Derek for money they say they paid to bail him out of jail.
How many children do you have with him?
4.
4 children with him. And how many times have you had him arrested for domestic violence?
Oh, a couple.
What?
A couple.
A couple is 2. How many?
I don't know, 2, 3 times, a couple.
About 8 times.
Excuse me. It has never been 8 times.
Just a second.
You want to see 8 times?
Let me ask you this.
Look
Even
in
broke
the
her
records.
hand
Thank
once
you.
trying to hit him.
This is why we were splitting up, because of our problems. So I took my stuff over to his mother's house because that's where he was going to be staying. As far as me having another man, that's none of their business.
Just a second, but my problem is, based upon the answer to their complaint and your counterclaim, because you say there was an argument, you came over to get your money, and you say she hit you in the face.
Yes.
That suggests to me that you took him back when he got out of jail.
No.
Yes, she did.
I did. Excuse me.
Shh. Go ahead.
No, I did not take him back. He stayed at my house for 2 times because I care about him a great deal. He is my kid's father. I let him stay there. Fine. I had no problem with it. We were still separated at this time. The whole time that he was at my house, it was like a jealousy thing that she had. The whole time he was at my house, I was not even away. I was not even there.
We just want the money back, primarily.
Just a second. Just a second. Tell me about your countersuit. Let me hear the countersuit.
Oh, I have a countersuit because when she came over one day, you know, she kicked him out of the house because she said he was staying at my house.
That's not the reason for the countersuit.
I'm getting there.
I did not kick him out.
Hey!
You brought my clothes.
Listen to me.
Well, she had, at this point, she had told her dad that I had supposedly disrespected her when he brought the clothes over. I'm getting to the part. Thank you.
Just get to it fast. You're standing out in the front lawn.
She came over to my house and accused me of not letting him see the kids. He was at my house seeing the kids. So I went downstairs to confront her about it, and I told her, I said, I'm tired of these lies. If you don't like it, get off my property, leave. That's when she swung at me.
And where did she hit you?
She hit me right here in my left cheek. And she also wrote this letter.
Just a second. When she hit you in your left cheek, did you go to the doctor?
No, I went to the police though because I figured I was going to.
Did you go to the doctor?
No, there was no need to.
But you're suing her for $2,000. What are you suing her for $2,000 for?
Emotional distress.
What happened?
All right. Just that, that she did it in front of her grandchildren, my children, other neighborhood kids, and also I have this letter here saying that she has my social security number, my checking account number, and she's going to do harm to us because the money was not paid. I have no part of this. Why she got my social security number? Why is she going to do this? Can you look at this, please?
And this is her handwriting? How much I was supposed to pay too.
Yes, it's her handwriting.
She wrote down how much I was supposed to pay back.
Yeah, it went from her money went from $500 to $3,000.
The $500 is what he promised that he would pay back on my telephone bill, plus money that he owed on rings that I let them use my Zelle credit card.
Just a second. Stop. I can't read and listen to you at the same time.
I'm sorry.
This is a very straightforward letter. It says, Derek and Stacy, that's you two.
Yes.
Your tax refund was sent directly to Stacy's checking account with the checking account number, and it was mailed on March 21st.
I don't have a checking account.
We want our $2,500 today. Nothing wrong with this letter. Let me ask you this question. You had him arrested for domestic violence, which means he physically hurt you. How many times?
A few.
How many times did you sue him? How many times did you sue him?
Have I sued him? I've never sued him.
Why not? He put his hands on you. Why didn't you sue him?
Because the DA automatically picks it up, and I have no...
No. You can go to small claims court and sue him for assault. Sue him for hurting you. I assume that he hurt you very badly if he was in jail on $50,000 bail.
No, that's not what $50,000 was for.
Why are you suing her? And I don't excuse the fact that she slapped you in the face, but you say yourself you weren't injured. Why in the world would I award you $2,000?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm very heartbroken, and I feel very hurt by the not being able to be with my grandchildren anymore.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Daryl Thompson and his mom are suing his brother Derek for money they say they paid to bail him out of jail.
Why in the world would I award you $2,000?
Just for the strain and everything that she's caused on me. My kids don't even want to be around them. I have a little baby.
I want to tell you something about strain. Let's talk about strain. Let's talk about these two people that live right across the street from you. You have 4 children with their father. Every other Monday and Thursday, he's getting arrested for domestic violence. He's also arrested for child molestation. This prize package has $50,000 bail on him. His parents bail him out. His mother and his brother bail him out. Not you, the mother of his 4 children. They bail him out.
Well, I don't think they bailed him out because supposedly I was with a quote-unquote another guy.
What different? No, they bailed him out
He never, it's not like he put a gun to their head and told them to do it. They did it on their own.
I want to tell you something. I feel
that
very
has nothing to do with me, though. I shouldn't have to be problems with her or her daughter either.
What I'm telling you is, and you're not listening to me, I really feel sorry for you. 4 children. God, 4 children. Don't realize the mistake after you have 1 or 2 or 3, you got to have 4 children with him. Gee whiz. Listen, you're entitled to your money. Your house should not be in jeopardy.
Thank you.
Right? And you bailed your brother out. I assume you did so with the best of intentions.
Yes.
I'm going to suggest something else to you. This isn't the last time he's going to get arrested. That's my sense. Hold on to your house. Hold on to your house.
Yes, I learned a lesson from this.
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000, and the countersuit is dismissed. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back, go to your right, please.
The children are welcome at my house anytime.
Yeah, well, I don't want them over your house. The way you treat this family.
Stacey, okay? We just wanted the money back.
Well, good, you got your money, but you don't have to go through all this other Oh, I his friends.
Yes.
Excuse me, I his friend. Yeah, you better check yourself.
The family can hurt you the most.
Parties on Regas versus Foster. Step forward, please.
Carlos Regas, a massage therapist, loaned money to his neighbor Chris Foster to help pay his mortgage, but says he was never paid back.
You lent him money to make 2 mortgage payments so he wouldn't lose his house. Is that right?
That is correct.
Well, why did you lend him money? Were you friends? Did you know?
Friends, yeah. I've known Chris for about 1.5 years. When I moved into the neighborhood, I'm renting a house like 2 doors down. And he would help us out, cutting grass, helping around the garage, things like that. And so we became friends. And then, fortunately, his mother-in-law passed away, and they inherited a house.
They what?
They inherited the house. The house she was living in, yeah. And they came to me, let me know that there was a situation that had aroused, that they found out that the house was 2 months behind in mortgage. They had a friend of the family that was going to be able to help them out. And I said, if you need any help, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. Came to me a few days later saying they couldn't get hold of these people, this friend, if I would help them out. I said, yeah, sure. What do you need? Say it was 2 months behind. This is the amount we need.
How much?
It was $1,791.60.
And you made, according to your papers, checks payable directly to the mortgage company?
Yeah, to his mortgage company, yes. And I said, I can't afford to lose this money. So don't worry about it. I'll give it back to you within 5 days to 2 weeks, because these people will probably be back in town. I think he said they were on vacation. They'll come back in town. We'll contact them, get the money. I'll pay you back. And that was May 6th, 1996.
Why didn't you pay him back the money, or did you?
Oh no, I haven't. And the reason why that why that transpired is because that the mortgage company is supposed to refinance on the properties so we can get the equity to pay him back immediately.
What does that have to do with him? That's your problem.
I understand you. I do understand you.
Well, why didn't you pay him back the money?
Because, as I said, it's not matter of I don't want to pay back him the money or anything like that. That wasn't a deliberate thing not to pay back. It's within all my intentions to do so.
Well, how many payments? Listen, sir, Mr. Foster.
Aye.
How many payments? How many $50 payments did you give him in the last year?
None whatsoever.
How many $25 payments did you give him in the last year?
None whatsoever.
Well, that makes you a deadbeat. That makes you a deadbeat, sir. This man who is not related to you by blood, is that right?
Yeah.
Just a friend.
Uh-huh.
For a year. You came to him and you said, I'm in trouble. I don't want to lose this house that I just inherited. Can you help me out for a short time? Isn't that what you said to him?
Yeah.
He said, sure. Nice man. Listen, I should take your number in case I ever get into any problem. He wrote out checks.
Mm.
Did he ask you to sign a note?
No.
Did he ask you for collateral?
Yes.
What collateral did you give him?
He suggested that we have antique furniture there within the garage. He will take them as collateral for payment or holding them until we can get the money to...
Does he have the furniture now?
He didn't come back and pick them up, my lady.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Let me explain something to you, sir. You have no case. None. He's 100% right. He's a very nice man. And you stiffed him. No?
No.
No, you...
No.
I'm telling you, you stiffed him. Let me ask you this question, sir. Who do you live with?
My wife and my kids.
How many kids?
3 kids.
You feed them?
Sure.
They have clothes?
Definitely.
Where do they get the clothes from?
The store.
Who buys them?
Myself and my wife.
You feed them?
Yes, I do.
Where do they get the food from?
The store. Where we work, we take care of it, yeah.
That's right. Something, goodwill over the last year, an effort, some small effort to show this man that he wasn't taken for a fool would have gone a long way. Something to say, I can't give it back to you, although something happened. But he is not a partner in your misfortune. You just made this perfect stranger a partner in your misfortune. Mr. Regis, you are entitled to your judgment. I am granting you your judgment. You're not even asking for interest. Is that right?
No, ma'am. I just want to get back what I put into it.
Judgment is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,791.60. You're a good guy, sir. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And on the next Judge Judy.
That is one thing we both have an understanding of, you know.
It's done. It's over.
Yeah.
No.
There's no war between us. There wasn't any, you understand? There wasn't any hard feeling animosities on either party. Sure, without any problem.
Order, all rise. Now, it's number 9 on the calendar in the matter of Dunlap versus George Phillips.
How could two ladies that look so nice, look so presentable, even write these things in a complaint? Well, what is it with you people? Harassment, cross complaints, assaults, trying to run each other down with cars, pulling knives, pulling guns, police reports, arrest warrants. Don't you have better things to do with your time?
Because all those are falsified statements.
Well, you've got complaints against her and she's got complaints against you. How long have you known each other?
Since '94.
Well, tell me when this trouble started.
Your Honor, harassments and physical abuse started in 1994, and it's been...
Over what?
It's been over me and John. He introduced himself to me, you know, saying
John,
that he was,
that's you?
Right.
Yes, right.
He introduced himself to me, stating that he was single, you know.
Saying that he was single?
Right. We exchanged pager numbers, we conversated, and as the conversation proceeded, he, you know, told me that he knew a friend of my girlfriend's brother. They were, you know, friends. After a while, we started conversating on the phone. We only dated once or twice as friends only, okay? A couple of weeks later, I started getting pages from Masika, who was his girlfriend.
That's you?
Questioning me about our relationship, you know. I informed her that John denied having a relationship and that we were just only friends anyway. So I told her that since the fact that she's claiming to be his girlfriend, I would discontinue our friendship, you know.
With him?
Right. But the paging calls with threats continued. And it led to a rage where him and her went to my home with a loaded gun. You know, I was not there. They threatened
Why would he come to your house with a loaded gun?
I guess, you know, they're in a relationship. He denied this to me, okay? So
how do you know he came to your house with a loaded gun?
My sister was there, police reports.
Were you there?
No, I was not there.
Well, then don't tell me about it.
Well, I came later as they were being arrested.
Who was being arrested?
Masika and John.
At your house?
Right.
What were you doing at her house?
Like she said, I paged her.
What'd you page her for?
To find out what was going on between them.
Well, what'd you ask her for? Why don't you ask him?
Because he wasn't home. I paged her.
Just a second. Shh. Listen. What did you call her for?
To find out what was going on. I mean,
why don't you ask your boyfriend what was going on?
Because he can deny it. I mean, he could have denied it and said, "Oh, I don't."
So why don't you just dump him? Listen, what do you think? He's a bargain?
No, it wasn't like that. You know what I'm saying? She didn't know who she was calling back at the time. She looked at my pager. When it was her on the other end of the line, she asked her, you know what I'm saying, about why was she calling me. You know, then when I came home, I told her that I don't talk to her anymore. You know what I'm saying? Then she got upset by Masika confronting her about this situation.
So this whole fight is over. Just a second. Let me understand something. This whole fight is over you?
No.
Just.
No, it's not.
It's not. It goes beyond that. It's not a fight. It's because of they don't have no kind of communication in their relationship. You know, she should have never paged me or called me. She should have took it up with him. Okay?
Just a minute. You weren't her friend before.
No.
You didn't know her before.
No.
So what you two ladies are in dispute over
It's
is
not.
him.
It's not. Can I finish? I just want to finish talking just to clarify everything. I paged Danielle. She said that her and John, you know, that they weren't talking and she hadn't talked to him for a while. When I paged her, I put in my home number. Later on that night, her and her friends called and played on the phone all night long. I called and told John, and I was like, you know, the girl Danielle, she's been calling and playing on the phone. So while we were arguing on the phone, me and Danielle, she said she wanted to beat my butt or whatever. And so, you know, I told her, well, you know, well, fine. Her and her friends came to my house to fight me, and I looked out the window, and they, you know, they were passing by, and I looked out the window, and I was home alone at the time, me and my daughter, so I didn't go outside. So,
you have a daughter?
Yes, I have a 3-year-old daughter.
Is he the father of this 3-year-old daughter?
Yes, he is, and he's yes.
So if you're the father of this 3-year-old daughter, what were you doing messing around with her?
That was before. That was before my daughter was even born. You know what I'm saying?
How many years ago was this?
This was
in 94. It was in 94.
Has this been ongoing?
Yes,
Exactly.
The harassment.
Exactly.
Why? Yeah, no, we're leading up to that. She wanted to fight me. She came to my house, like I stated. I didn't go outside. She called back, and she said, "Why didn't you come outside, B?" You know, so I told her, you know, I'm here alone with my daughter. Tell you what, we'll meet up at your house tomorrow so we can fight. I went to her house, but this is just the truth. I went to her house, me and John. She wasn't home. Her sister
What'd you go there for?
To fight her. She wanted to fight me. I mean,
Well,
she
how
came to
old
my
was
house.
she?
She
How
played
old were
on
you
my
then?
phone all
How
night
old were you
long.
then?
I was 18 years old. I was 18 years old at the time.
This is 3 years ago. You were 18 years old. Since that time, you've become a very mature woman. You had a child who's 3 years old now with this guy, who I'm sure you married. Is that right?
Right.
You married?
No, we're not, man. We stay together.
Have you had any trouble with each other in the last 6 months?
No, I haven't.
Just a second. You haven't. In the last 6 months, have you had any trouble with her?
No.
Have you had any trouble with her?
No.
Good. Sit down.
Oh, this ain't going.
Just a second.
Going right.
Listen to me. In the last 6 months, have you had any difficulty with her?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
She has filed a false police report against me, saying that I did a hit and run.
You did what?
A hit and run.
That was in the last 6 months?
Yes. During this time, I was 5 months pregnant. I got a call from San Francisco Police Department saying that there were charges and a warrant out for my arrest due to the fact that she made this police report. Okay.
Well, what happened with that case?
The case was dismissed due to the investigation that her friend, who was supposed to be in the car with her, made a statement saying that it did not occur that way. It did not happen.
Did you file a police report against her?
Yes, I did.
Why?
She ran me over. I was getting out of my car. She ran me over.
Were
and
you
knocked
injured?
me to the ground. I had soft tissue injuries, and I had like over $2,000 worth of doctor bills to prove that I was marked up. I called the police from my house.
Then why do you think the case was dismissed?
Because thank you. Because my so-called my friends at the time, they gave a statement saying that Danielle did in fact run me over. Me and my friends, we're no longer friends, and one of them made another statement saying that she thought that Danielle was scared, and that's why she ran me down. So she changed her story.
Tell me what happened with this car incident.
What happened was, it did not happen. I was put in a situation where I was pregnant, you know. I turned the corner from around my mom's house, and next thing I know, her car stopped, you know, in the middle of a block. I didn't know who she was until she got out the car. A group of other girls in a car behind me drove up behind me, right up on my bumper. So I'm looking in my rearview mirror, and I'm looking in front of me, and I'm like, this is a setup. Somebody had to be watching me or stalking me or something to know when I'm leaving my mother's house. So she gets out the car, and she starts going like this, cussing, whatever. I can't hear her because my window's up, you know. I'm 5 months pregnant. I'm not going to get out and fight her, and then I have all these girls behind me. I went around her to avoid the situation, okay? I did not hit her. I went around her. She came walking towards my car. I drove around her and left the scene.
That's not true. She ran me down.
Judge Judy will continue.
You's an ignorant tramp. Look how ghetto she is. She don't even know how to present herself. Look how ghetto she is.
Yeah, I'm ghetto.
You ghetto. You ghetto.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Masika George says Danielle Dunlap's accusations of assault are lies made up because she dated Danielle's old boyfriend, John.
What other incidents, other than this car incident, happened within the last 6 months?
Your Honor, due to the fact of the car accident, she has harassed me on my job. That's what has happened.
Fine. Tell me how she's harassed you at your job.
She has came up to my job demanding information from my supervisor about when I'm at work and, you know, how can she get in contact with me to have me arrested for the hit and run. Okay?
All right, that's not harassment. Go ahead. Shut. I want you to say nothing.
All right.
That's not harassment. And the case of the hit and run, the car incident, was resolved by another court. You both acknowledged that you were told to pay her $350.
Right. I'm here today because I fear for my safety. I'm suing her for ongoing harassment and mental stress.
I haven't heard any ongoing harassment in the last 6 months, madam. That's what I'm asking you about.
It's been every year. It's a different
I just
incident.
asked you. I'm going to say one more time. The last 6 months, I'm not interested what happened when she was 18 and you were 17 and you were fighting over Romeo over here. I'm not asking you about that. I'm asking you what happened with you two young adults in the last 6 months. Nothing? Good. Case dismissed. Thank you very much. That's all.
Oh, my God.
Bye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Oh, my gosh.
Step out the back to your right, please.
That was damn
Out the back door to your right. Ma'am,
Oh,
step
that
out the
was
back door to
bad.
your right, please.
Basically, Danielle, she's a liar.
She's a modern day fatal attraction.
No, use the tramp. Use the tramp. Use an ignorant tramp. Look how ghetto she is. She don't even know how to present herself. Look how ghetto she is.
Yeah, I'm ghetto.
You ghetto. You ghetto. You don't know how to present yourself.
We don't got to go there.
She didn't have a case. She finna get sued.
All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'll be all that. But you ghetto.
Parties on Freeman versus Haight. Step forward, please.
Andre Freeman is suing Patricia Haight because his son, Andre Jr., got a broken wrist when Patricia's son, Gerald, started horsing around.
You're Mr. Friedman.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mrs. Haight?
Yes, I am.
But it's not really you two people who were involved in this lawsuit. It's really your children. All you're asked to do is to pay the bills.
Yes,
correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
So I'm going to ask you to sit down for a second. And we have Andre. Where's Andre? Step up here. And Gerald? That's you? Right up here.
Yes, out loud.
You were in a friend's house?
Yes.
What's your friend's name?
Rashawn Jackson.
Speak up.
Rashawn Jackson.
And were you a friend of Gerald's?
Yes.
How many people were over the house?
I'd say about 6.
And in what room of the house were you hanging around in?
My friend's mother.
Bedroom?
Yeah.
What were you doing in there?
Watching TV.
So tell me what happened.
We just got back from playing the game or whatever outside, and we were in watching TV, and I stood up, and he grabbed me for some odd reason and jumped on the bed with me, and then I broke my hand.
How did he grab you?
In like a bear hug like this. And we fell on the bed, and then that's when I broke my wrist.
Tell me what happened when you broke your wrist.
Well, after I broke my wrist, I got up and...
How did you break it? Do you know?
Well, when he jumped on me and grabbed me, my arm was stuck under his stomach like this, and when he fell, it broke inward like that. And when I got up, I let him know that he broke it, and...
How did you know it was broken?
Well, I could tell because the way I moved it, it just like dropped and it hurt real bad, so I knew it broke. And we went in the living room, and my friend Rashawn, he got me a pillow and everything. They called the ambulance, and we were talking, and then like everybody was talking about it, and he started laughing for some odd reason. Like when they told him, like everybody was talking about it, he started laughing, and then I looked at him, he just smirked at me or whatever, and then the ambulance got there and I left.
You hadn't been having an argument with him about anything?
No.
You were just horsing around, or he was horsing around?
Well, yeah, he was, but everybody else wasn't.
Your wrist was in a cast?
Yeah.
For how long?
I say about 3 months.
Is it better now?
Well, no. No, it's not.
Why?
I can't turn it all the way. Like this one, I can only go that far.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Okay, Gerald, what happened?
Well, like you said, we were playing outside, and then everybody went into the room. We were watching the movie, and then like everybody got up and started playing around again. So then like he got up, so I got up because everybody else was already playing around. So then like when he got up, I thought he was like playing around. So I didn't grab him in no bear hug or anything. I got him like in a headlock, and then like I was walking around, and then I was walking around with him. And then, like, when we were, like, close to the bed, somebody threw a baseball bat. And then, like, so we fell over. Like, I let him go, but, like, he still had his arm around me. Then I fell. Then he said, get up. I think my arm is broken. And then I was like, everybody was like, your arm's not broken. Then he showed everybody. Then people were quiet.
What made you think he was getting up to play around?
Well, we were playing earlier, so everybody else got
earlier
up
outside?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about outside. You were inside. You were inside for a while watching TV.
I know. I was going to get to that.
Go ahead.
So, and then he got up because everybody else was already playing around. So I thought he was like going to get up and like rush at me or something.
What made you think that?
Because that's what we were doing earlier.
Outside, but not inside. So you really got him in a headlock. He hadn't come up to you. He was just standing up. He was sitting on the bed and stood up.
We were both sitting like by each other. So he got up, then I got up, and then like I grabbed him. Then we fell.
Okay. Okay, parents up. So this is where the parents come in.
Okay.
Somebody has to pay for this. You had medical bills?
Yes, Your Honor.
How much were your medical bills?
They were over $6,000. However, I only sued for the maximum limit you could sue for. $5,000.
Did you have insurance?
No, I didn't, Your Honor. It taught me a valuable lesson, though, because now I make sure I have
Can I
insurance.
see the bills, please?
Certainly.
Mrs. Haith, is this the story that your son has consistently told you, the one that you just heard today?
Yes, that is correct.
Well, if it is, then you probably understand that this injury was a result of your son's unintentional act.
Actually, Your Honor, it was as a result of someone throwing a baseball and them both falling.
No. It was not as a result of someone throwing a baseball bat. Because if someone had thrown a baseball bat on the bed and your son didn't have Andre in a headlock, Andre's wrist wouldn't have been broken.
Okay.
There was nothing that Andre did that provoked that. He might have thought in his own mind that they were still playing, or he was going to play with him as they had been playing outside. But at that moment in the bedroom of their friend's house, there was nothing that he did other than stand up to suggest to your son that this was playtime.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
So that somebody has to assume responsibility for these bills. He does. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor, I understand.
Okay. How old are you?
14.
14. Healthy. Big. Strong guy.
And let me add
Which
one-
suggests to me something. Suggests to me that a big, strong 14-year-old guy can do something in their spare time after school, during the summer or whatever, to reimburse your mother, because she's going to have to lay out this money. And she certainly wasn't in the bedroom, and it's a good lesson for you. I mean, it's not his fault. He didn't do anything. Certainly not his father's fault, and he's gotten the bills. And this is because you were fooling around. It's a very good lesson. And in this regard, not a terribly expensive one, because although you're going to have some work done on your wrist, and it's not exactly the way it was, it's not the kind of tragedy that very often happens to young people when they act stupid.
I agree, Your Honor.
I don't think there was any maliciousness intended.
Oh, no, I don't think that at all.
I don't think so either. So I think that you both acted in a reasonable sort of way today. I hope you learned a good lesson. It's an expensive one. You're going to be very busy paying your mother back. The judgment in this case is for the plaintiff and the amount requested, which is $5,000 for the medical bills.
Thank you. Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
Thank you.
Quite well.
On the next Judge Judy.
Children will be children. I think a lot of times the parents harbor a lot of anger, but if you just let the children go ahead and bond and play with one another, they can put this thing behind them and go back to being friends.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me first say that when you prepare papers for court, which are a complaint and an answer, and in your case a countersuit, you're supposed to prepare them so that the judge, in reading over a file, can understand the nature of your lawsuit. And quite frankly, sir, I don't understand what you're suing for. Something about a computer, something about slander. I have no idea how this problem started. And quite frankly, I don't understand your countersuit either. So, go ahead, Mr. Cheatham.
Now, there are three separate cases, as you know. The first case is that I had to move out of my apartment because it had gotten flooded. And Roy was coming over and using the computer every day because we were working on a play together.
So you were writing together?
No, we were working together.
What
on
does
a
that
play.
mean?
He was doing the publicity, and at the time I had a client that was doing the play.
What do you mean you had a client that was doing the play?
I had a client who was the star of the show, of the Dorothy Dandridge show. So he was, and so he didn't have a computer, so he was coming over all the time to use a computer.
So you're in the publicity business?
I was helping him out, yes, working for him at his place of business. And
Which was his apartment?
His apartment, right.
That got flooded?
I never heard anything about it getting flooded or saw any evidence of it.
Go ahead.
So John suggested, John is my housemate, decided that we should leave the computer with Roy while we were out of the apartment and they were repairing it.
Okay.
That's the
Apartment
first part
got
of the
flooded.
case.
You had your computer. You left it with him.
Yes.
Okay. Who bought this computer?
Me.
Do you have his computer?
I have the computer he gave me as partial payment for back wages due for work I did at his address, which is also his business, which I worked at for a year and a half, helping him not just do one play, but his entire business. And I have files and evidence of the things I did, some of the things that I did while I was there.
Well, so you say he handed this computer over to you as partial payment for the work?
Yes, he said that he was in the process of brokering a deal to sell a painting by Goya, the artist, that his commission, he was selling it to a Hungarian count, and his commission would be at least $350,000.
Did you tell him that?
Your Honor, I can't talk about that case. That case is being in litigation as we speak.
Well,
yes.
you have to talk about it, sir.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you why. Because
did not
he
tell
says that you gave him this computer, but that you were working on a big deal and that hopefully you were going to get your computer back. Is that right?
No, he was going to pay me more money additionally. The computer was partial payment for monies due. And he came over to my house, set it up, and said he'd have more money for me when this went through this brokering deal, which I don't know anything about how it happened after that.
Had you owed him any money, sir?
No. Not for work.
Well, how was he being compensated for doing the publicity?
He was working for the show. He was not working for me. He was working for J.H. Doyle Production, and I have the witness to that effect.
This witness?
This witness.
Would you stand up, please?
Certainly.
Who are you?
I'm Sloan Robinson. And
what do you do?
The actress that was doing the play Yesterday Came Too Soon, the Dorothy Dandridge story. And I know that at that time, Roy came on to our production as a publicist. And I do know that they were working together on that production.
That's one thing I did.
The checks for that were supposed to come through Clarence to Roy.
I never got paid for that either.
And
just a second. One thing.
From my knowledge, Mr. Cheatham was not responsible for paying Roy's fee.
That
was
she was the actress. She would have no knowledge.
The production company was supposed to be paying his fee.
How do you know that? Where is the
what I
person
was
from?
told.
You can't tell me what you were told.
Okay.
Sit down.
Okay.
Just a second. Were you doing any other work for him other than on this particular Dorothy Dandridge story
Yes, ma'am.
play?
That play was only 3 months long in its entire gestation to the end of that play. I worked for Clarence for a long time, for I'd say over a year and a half, doing many other projects.
Well, why did you work for him for nothing, sir?
Well, I didn't. He paid me twice out of the amount I gave him. I have some invoices I'd given him also. And both times that he paid me, he paid one time I came to him and told him I wanted some money. He said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll pay an electric bill for you. How's that? So he paid the electric bill, the check bounced, of course, and then he did another payment with another fraudulent check that bounced.
I knew.
Just
So
a
he
second.
really hasn't paid
So
me.
the answer is, all this year and a half, he didn't pay you.
Well, that's the Hollywood side of it. He is also my agent. So as my agent, he constantly would tell me, well, Roy, as soon as these deals break, I'll have the money for you. He's a very smooth talker. It's
Just
what he
a second.
does.
So you were working for him, but he was also your agent and supposedly working for you.
Yes.
He needed money because Clarence never got him any work as a writer. So Clarence said, well, work for me as well while we're trying to get all this done.
Plus, I had a full-time job all this time.
How do
This
you
was just
expect?
additional
Are you
work.
a writer, sir?
No, I'm not a writer.
Well, what do you do?
I manage some writers and I arrange funds for various film projects. And I was
When
not,
did you give him this computer to keep for you?
it was in March or April or something like that. I don't remember. But I know that what had happened, as I said, the apartment flooded. We had to leave the apartment until they fixed it. And I didn't want to put it in storage. He was working on the play. So therefore, I was trying to be a decent person and just let him keep it. But he said that John owed him money, and that I owed him money. He has never given me any invoices. I've not ever paid. He wasn't working for me. He had a full-time job. How could he work for me?
He has copies of
I
the
work
invoices.
all day.
Clarence, I worked for you weekends
have
and
not
after
worked
work
for
all the
me.
time. I was at your house burning the midnight oil.
This accordion file on the floor is a partial bit of the work Roy's
Who are
done
you?
for him.
Just a second. Who are you?
I'm his sister. And we
what do
live
you have?
together.
Are you in business?
He's suing
She's the
Giselle.
slander.
Suing me for slander.
That's the one
No,
who
just a second.
slandered.
You're his sister. Are you in business with him?
I help him out occasionally, but I'm not technically in business with him, no.
This is getting very complicated. How much time do I have this afternoon?
Not much.
Do you, you're Mr. Olden?
Olden Camp, yes. ma'am.
Olden Camp. You have a lot of businesses?
I work full-time job in the daytime. And then
What
I
do you
help
do?
them out. In the daytime, I work administrative services at a company in the Valley. That means we help do supply and for an entire building of 200 people.
And you live alone, sir?
I live with Giselle.
We're roommates.
Right.
Fine. Do you have your own computer?
I have my own laptop computer, yes.
Fine. Give him back his computer. That's one. Give him back his computer. That's the way he makes a living. You don't have another computer, do you?
No, I don't.
His laptop is
just a sec.
mine as well.
What?
We both use the laptop.
Good. You can only use it one lap at a time. His computer goes back there. Now, what's next?
The next is that Giselle,
that's her,
call Sloan, who I was working with, who's a business associate, and she will testify. And on the message, Sloan had said, Clarence, you have to listen to this message. I said, I really don't want to listen to it. It wasn't interesting. So she had to finally talk me into listening to it. And I quote exactly to you what Giselle said. It's the most heinous of things that you could ever accuse a human being of. She said, and I'll give you a copy of it, I just want to warn you about Clarence. He had the police come here about 1 o'clock this morning, which is true. I don't know what's wrong with him. He has turned his anger at me and Roy for some reason. You know he was arrested for child molestation last month. He has just lost it. I just want to tell you to watch out for him. Let's have lunch.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I am not in fear of this man.
Why are you not in fear of this drunken guy who gets on the pipe? This guy is dangerous.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Clarence Cheatham, a Hollywood agent, says his former client, Roy Oldenkamp, did not return his computer, and that Roy's sister, Giselle Celine, slandered him.
Did you leave that message on the machine?
Yes, I did.
Would you tell me first why, and then I'd like you to tell me what proof you have that Mr. Cheatham was in fact arrested on a charge of child molestation?
I called and left that message because Sloan, in addition to being a client of Clarence's, is a friend of mine. She's been to my house, we're friends, and I look out for my girlfriends. I'm afraid of this man now, and I wanted her forewarned.
I'm sorry. What now? That answers the why.
Right.
Now let's go to the proof. What proof do you have that this man was in fact arrested for anything?
Okay. Clarence called my brother at my home.
This brother?
Yes, he called us to bail him out of jail that night.
She was at the house at the same time when he called.
This is my witness who was also there. They were home working. So Roy put it on speakerphone so he could continue working while Clarence was blethering away. And this is the witness that also heard the conversation of Clarence saying, can you bail me out? I've been picked up on child molestation charges.
He called from the jailhouse.
Tell me your name, sir.
My name is James Sheindlin.
James?
James Sheindlin.
Mr. Sheindlin.
Yes.
What do you do for a living, sir?
Okay, I manage a rock and roll band, and Roy is stepping up as my publicist. And we do a lot of late evenings. And,
so you were at home in the evening.
I was at his home.
Their home.
Right.
And what happened?
And he got a phone call, and Roy always puts the call on speakerphone.
You mean he picks it up on speakerphone?
I just push speaker.
Push.
You push speakerphone.
So he doesn't have to stop what he's
saying.
saying.
And what did you hear, sir?
I heard that he was calling and asking for help to get out of jail. He said, I need help getting out here. Is there any way you can possibly get me out?
Okay. Mr. Cheatham.
Yes.
Were you, in fact, arrested?
Not for child molestation.
That's not what I asked you, sir.
No.
Listen to me. I'm asking you a question. Were you, in fact, arrested?
Yes. Nobody bailed me out.
Mr. Cheatham, you were, in fact, arrested?
Yes.
When?
I have April or February or March, something like that. I don't even remember.
Did you, in fact, call Mr. Oldenkamp?
I didn't. Perhaps John called him. I don't remember calling him.
But you could have.
But I could have.
And you could have called him and asked him to come and bail you out.
You don't bail out child molesters.
Oh, you'd be surprised, sir. You'd be surprised. Did you call and ask them to help you?
No. John is my witness to that. No one. I asked no one because I didn't want anyone to even know that I was there. I was arrested on a $250 charge for disorderly conduct, and hey, you spend one night in jail and you're out.
Just let me ask you this question, sir. Was the original charge disorderly conduct?
That was the original charge.
No, the original charge was child molestation.
Just a second.
Who did I molest?
Mr.
A Hollywood producer's daughter.
Shh. Mr. Oldenkamp.
A 25-year-old
Mr.
woman.
Hey. Tell me the circumstances surrounding your arrest, sir.
The circumstances surrounding my arrest, I went to help a friend move. She said her car wouldn't start. I was standing there to call AAA. The next thing I know, all these white policemen were up on me. There were 10 of them. Because somebody had called and said that we were about to rob, John and I were about to rob them. So, they've called a cab, put us in a cab, and then this cab driver said, well, you guys are probably taking us somewhere to rob me. I just laughed, you know. So and he drove us back, left us at the garage, and as soon as I walked out, they didn't touch John. They arrested me for disturbing the peace, disorderly conduct. I have no idea. I was there for one night. It was a $250 fine that every man in that jailhouse laughed at me. You can't get $250. Every man, I'm in there with dope dealers, pushers, murderers, and everything. And here it is that they're laughing at me. I was the butt of their jokes because I couldn't come up with $250 to get out of jail. It was a $250 fine. You will not, you know, so therefore, never for child molestation. A 25-year-old, you don't molest them. You don't molest
What's
a
25-year-old?
He said a Hollywood producer's daughter. Yeah, that's what he said. He said
Clarence
it was a Hollywood
when
producer's
Clarence told
daughter.
me on the phone.
25 years old.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What happens? This is the payback that I get. I mean, I hope his bad karma is ending here. I hope people in Hollywood will be warned.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Hollywood agent Clarence Cheatham is suing Joselle Celine for slander.
The true text of the conversation as he called us was that, Roy, I'm in jail, I've been arrested. I think he said Van Nuys Police Department. He says, you won't believe it, I was arrested for child molestation. I was drunk, I was at a producer's house. I accidentally grabbed her daughter. Of course, he'd say accidentally. She had a cell phone in her hand, ran in the bathroom, locked the door, and called 911. They
Why
came
don't
and
you ask
arrested
John?
me and took me out of the building. This, I'm just.
Why don't you
asking her-
ask
This
John?
is what the phone conversation was.
Why don't you ask John?
First of all, Mr. Cheatham, how many times have you been arrested in your life?
One. I was
Okay.
shocked. I was
Okay.
shocked to be arrested that time.
Who are you? Who
My
are
name
you?
is John Taylor. We sit together, and I mean the whole child molesting thing is not.
Well, just a minute. Were you there when he made the phone call to the defendant?
No.
Okay, then you can sit down.
But he was there when I was arrested. He knows why I
Well,
was arrested.
Just a second.
Did I
Sir.
call Roy? That's the issue
No,
here.
you don't know whether he called him or not.
I couldn't call anybody out of the courthouse because
no,
I didn't know
sir,
how to use the
Mr.
phone.
Cheatham, I want to tell you something. I believe, sir, that you called him. There's no question in my mind that I believe that you called him.
I called him.
I did not call Roy. I don't remember calling him. Perhaps John
No,
might
you
have
don't. You
called
may
him.
not remember calling him, but he knows your voice, sir, as opposed to this gentleman's voice.
Well, I don't think he's telling the truth. They're pulling at straws. They're pulling at straws. Giselle lied and said I was a child molester. That's the issue here. That she slandered me to a business colleague of mine. That is what we have. That's what we have. Has nothing to do with that. This is a
friendship, I
business
think so.
client of mine, and you know it.
Just a second. Well, let me ask you this question, madam. Did you believe the fact that he was a child molester?
No, I did not.
Good. Then we don't have a problem.
There you go.
Because in order for you to prove damages, sir, if she published this
She's no
information,
longer working with me.
Listen to me.
She's no longer working with me as a client, so therefore I've lost income.
No, listen.
Okay.
Mr. Cheatham.
Judy, can I just say something?
Mr. Cheatham. There are two things. I have to make a judgment as to whether the phone call was made and whether I believe the phone call was made. I believe the phone call was made. I believe the phone call was made by you, Mr. Cheatham. I don't know whether you were drinking that night or not. This is the person with whom you reside. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So I believe the phone call was made. I believe this person that he overheard that phone conversation, at least part of it. I don't know why, madam, you felt it necessary to transmit that information to anybody else. There must have been some bad blood, but clearly you didn't believe it, correct?
No, we're not
Did you
friends.
believe?
She did that to malign him because I'm his client.
Did you believe that it was true?
No, I did not.
Did you believe that he had been arrested?
Apparently not. That I had no question. I don't know. That's
Yeah, right.
possible.
That's
but
possible.
as far as him being a child molester, no.
Okay, so you didn't believe it?
No.
Okay, so did you tell anybody else that he was a child molester?
No.
Or that you thought he was arrested for child molestation?
Absolutely.
Did you tell anybody else that?
No.
Okay, so she didn't believe it, so that takes care of that. All right, now I'm going to get to your counterclaim.
I've not been served with such.
You were never served with a counterclaim?
I was never served
You were
with
served by Dan West 2 weeks ago.
I have not ever been served with a cross complaint. Why would
Was
I
that-
stand here
just a
and
second.
lie about that?
Well, I don't know, Clarence. That
Where
sums up the
would
last
he
half
have
hour.
served me 2 weeks ago?
He served you 2 weeks ago at your abode, wherever
Your
you
Honor,
live.
Well, let me.
I do
just
not
one
have
second.
a counterclaim
Just one
against
second.
me.
I'm
I
gonna
cannot
check
be
the-
sued for something that
Listen
I
to
don't
me.
know about.
Listen to me. I'm going to go back and check our court records and see whether or not we are in receipt of a filed counterclaim with proof of service.
Perhaps
Do you
you
understand?
are, but I'm not. And perhaps you are, I'm not. I don't know anything about a counterclaim because I certainly would have answered it.
Well, Mr. Cheatham, you can either finish this case in court today.
I want to finish it today.
Then you want to let me see what this cross
Sure.
complaint is about?
Sure.
Okay. Let me see if I have the papers. Just wait here.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He's a nut. I can't believe that he started this whole ball rolling in the first place. The man is simply a nut.
Order. Quiet, please.
Mr. Roldenkamp,
Yes, ma'am.
the plaintiff could not have been served 2 weeks ago with your counterclaim,
What?
sir, because you only filed your counterclaim 5 days ago.
It was.
So you can't have been served, sir, with your counterclaim before you filed it. Your countersuit is dismissed without prejudice. You can refile it if you wish and
Okay,
serve him.
that's fine.
And within 48 hours, the computer is to be returned to him.
I don't want him near me to pick up that computer. Can
Fine,
I
we'll
have someone pick it up?
We will make arrangements for the computer to be picked up.
Thank you. I fear for my safety with him.
You certainly should. We're done.
Step out the back to your right.
Shame on you, Slum.
Out the back to your right, please.
On the next Judge Judy.
Man,
Why are
guys
you
need
not
to-
in
you
fear of
need
this
to
drunken
really-
guy who gets on the pipe? This
Well,
guy
hey,
is
you know
dangerous.
what?
You need to stay away from
That
him.
is defamation of character.
It's
It has
reality,
nothing
darling.
to
It's
do with
reality.
me.
All that I did for you. This is your payback.
That's what you
That's
should
your
be ashamed
payback?
Because you're standing there lying and you're implicating me
Your
in
karma,
this.
your karma
And
is
I
just
don't
in
have
the
anything
doghouse.
to do with it. All I
Karma
did
is
was
about
repeat
money.
what you-
So, once again, what can I say? I was a fool, but I just hope others will learn and be warned that there are types like this that prey on people that come to Hollywood, plan on making a career out here, and then get suckered in, abused, and used. It's a terrible thing.
Case number 108, in the matter of Haggerty versus Hurt Alexander. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have a seat, please. Have a seat.
Mrs. Haggerty, this is your daughter.
Yes.
What's her name?
Ginia.
Ginia?
Yes.
Your complaint alleges that Ginia used to be friendly with these two gals right here.
Yes.
And that they had some sort of a falling out. And they had a fight, which I assume they'll tell me about. And these two young ladies damaged your car.
Right.
You admit you damaged her car. You kicked it, correct? What?
Yes.
Yeah. Try yes.
Yes.
But that you have an excuse as to why you're not responsible for the payments.
Yes.
So we'll get to that in a minute. Ginia, step up here. You were driving your mother's car?
Yes.
What kind of car is it?
It's a VW bug.
What year?
71.
Were you friendly with both of these young ladies?
Yes.
You had a falling out about something?
Yes.
What?
Basically, it was she said this about
Who's
me.
she?
I was so called to say something about Raven. I was to say something about Raven.
Who's Raven?
Mariah.
So she was told that you said something bad about her.
She was so-called on the phone at this time. She heard that I said all these things about her when she was on the phone. I was on three-way. We're on three-way. I didn't know we were on three-way.
How old are you?
18.
How old are you?
18.
And you?
17.
All right. So then you decided to try to straighten it out with them?
Yes.
What did you do?
I decided that I was going to go over there and talk to Raven. It was said that I was to go over there and fight Raven, but I say I was over there to talk to Raven. I had on a dress and some sandals. They had on sweats, T-shirts, and...
Slower.
Okay.
You had...
I had on a dress and some sandals. They had on sweats and T-shirts and, like, scarves on their hair, like, ready to get down. I was not...
Ready to get... Listen, in
sorry.
English, please.
They were ready
I
to-
know it is. But, I want them to try. I
I'm
want this
sorry.
young lady who looks like a nice young lady to know that if she wants to live in an adult community, she's got to talk English.
Well,
Get
we were
down
ready-
is
get
not
down,
something...
Okay, I'm sorry. To fight. To fight. Okay? And I was not over there to fight. They hit me. They do what they have to do. I'm sorry. They hit me. Words were exchanged. Okay?
Very good.
And I get in my car. Words were exchanged when I was getting in my car. And then as I pulled off, they kicked my car in, my panel and the door, my driver's door of the car.
And you got estimates to fix it?
Yes. She called me, I was at work that night. She called me, she was crying, she was all upset. She was saying she went over to Raven's house, and I told her, you should have stayed at home, okay? Because, see, I've known Raven for a long, long time. Raven used to go on outings with us. We used to do things with Raven. So I've known it. So for her and Ginia to be fighting, to me, was stupid, very much so. And I was upset with she and Raven. So I called, I went to Raven's mother's job and told Yvonne about the incident, what had happened, and I told her I wanted all of us, Ginia, Raven, her, and I, to sit down and talk. A lot of things came out about she said this and she said that, and I was saying, who cares? Who cares who said this? If you don't like her and she don't like you, just stay away from each other. This one is not my friend, that one is not my friend, okay? So then I said, what did Ebony have to do with it? This is what I wanted to know. And Raven said at that time, she says, I can't tell Ebony what to do and what not to do.
Well, why did you get involved with this, Ebony?
No, because this is what happened. When she called Raven's house, she spoke to me on the phone. She was like, well, whatever she said something like to the fact, well, do y'all want to see a fair one with me? So I hand Raven, so she was like, well, put Raven on the phone. So I give Raven the phone. Raven was like, I don't have time for that. So she hung the phone up. The phone rang again. I answered it. She was like, oh, why y'all bitches hang up? So I said, so she said, after that happened, she said, well, I'm on my way. I said, if you come up, I told her before she came over there, if you come over here, you're going to get beat up, basically.
It had nothing to do with you. Why did you tell her if she came over she was going to get beat up? What did it have to do with you?
Yes, it did, because when she called over there, she spoke to me on the phone. She talking all of this to me. That's why when she asked to speak to Raven, I hand Raven the phone.
Just a second. I never heard of young ladies who fight with each other like this. What is this? Come over and fight and get down, and I don't understand this.
She knew what was going on. She knew how me and Raven are. She knew the situation.
You mean because Raven is your friend, you decided?
No, it's not because Raven is my friend.
But you had nothing to do with this argument.
Yes, I did, but other situations happened before this day actually came.
Right. Now, who kicked the car?
We both did.
Fine, so you have to pay for it. Now, you have a reason why you think you don't have to pay for the car. Now I'm ready to hear it.
Right.
Raven, you first. You want to tell me why you don't think you have to pay for this car?
Okay.
For the damage?
First of all, Gigi knows how I am. She knows if I don't want to be bothered, don't bother me. She called my house and she was like, I'm coming over to get a fair one. So I'm like, fine. There's no way I'm about to change into clothes and everything like that if I don't think I'm finna fight. So then she came over there, and when she's driving up the car, she was like, I'm ready like that. She got out the car, and I was like, nobody's gonna come over my house and disrespect my house and my property. So we fought, okay? The fight was over. So finally she get in her car, and she was like, yeah, it ain't over there, it ain't over there, just cussing me out or whatever like that. So then she threw something out the car. Oh, and then she wanna drive off, so instead of driving off, I couldn't get to her, so car was the next best thing.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your attitude, madam, is what's going to land you in trouble probably for the rest of your adult life unless you decide to take an attitude pill.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Genia Guy says her two former friends, Raven Alexander, 18, and Ebony Hurt, 17, kicked and punched her and kicked in the doors of her mother's car.
I've read your answer. And according to your answer, and yours too, neither one of you waited for her to throw the first punch. Let me read you a little about what you said. Okay? You said she got out of the car, this is what you say, and started walking up to Raven, according to you, ready to fight. So Raven hit her twice. I love this. There's nothing wrong with this.
I mean, it's nothing wrong. If she can't, she called, so why wait till somebody hit the first, take the first punch?
So you hit her twice. Then she walked around Raven and ran up to me. So I threw her to the ground.
Yep.
Then she got into her car. So far she didn't hit anybody. She got into her car and according to you was going off at the mouth. And you weren't going to let anybody get away with that, so you kicked her car. So is that the reason why you don't think that you're responsible for paying for her mother's car?
She threw something out the car, that's why her car was kicked.
So she trying to hit me, she gonna get hit in return. She's supposed to be responsible for her own things.
Let me have the estimates on the car, madam.
Ridiculous.
And what is that piece of paper that you have behind you?
This didn't end it.
What?
This did not end the situation. When I got home one evening, a neighbor of mine had called me while I was at work that night. And this was on my front door with a knife in it.
Nice touch.
Okay.
Nice touch.
Well, also,
that don't have nothing to do with me. That don't have nothing to do with the car.
That don't have nothing to do with me.
I didn't get any of these things until after this incident. At the school, one of the teachers had this and was saving it because somebody had put it in her mailbox for her. They went to all this trouble to make a replica of her car, showing how they had kicked it, dented it. Then they had the nerve to put a bullet in it. Okay?
I don't have time to be doing
You
all
know
that.
what?
Really though.
I
That don't have
wanted
nothing to do with
I wanted
me.
to also ask for mental anguish for what I, as a mother, have gone through with this. I have gone through so much stress and strain around this whole incident.
Yeah, and she
okay?
harassed my mom on her job.
Hold up, that's not our fault. Whatever happened to y'all, that's y'all.
Miss Haggerty, listen to me.
That's y'all business.
And
Y'all
be
gotta do
harassing
that.
my mom on her
Whatever,
job.
y'all, that's y'all business. Y'all have to take that. That's another case somewhere else. You call somebody else. Gigi, she's a lot of people who
Big
don't
mouth.
like her. It's a lot of
Big
people that
mouth.
don't like her.
Put her outside until she's quiet.
Step out, please.
Put her outside until she's
Step out.
quiet.
Later on Judge Judy.
That she was only out for personal gain because once she found a man, I was out the door.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Miss Haggerty.
Yes?
They had absolutely no business to damage your car. There's no question about that. They both acknowledged they damaged your car. Your daughter did not do a smart thing.
No, she did not.
She placed herself at risk going over there. She knew that there were two girls over there. She was one person going over there. I can't imagine that she would go over there to fight with two girls, knowing that she was only one person.
That was just a stupid mistake of hers for coming over there. She, you know,
Be quiet. You already got yourself in enough trouble. What's your name?
Sherry.
What's your last name?
Trotter.
Trotter?
Yes.
Miss Trotter, I don't know if you've had any other difficulty with your daughter, but your daughter's got an attitude, and unless she does something about straightening herself out, I'm going to tell you, you're not going to get a lot of pleasure out of her as an adult. I'm telling you. She has an attitude that she can't even mask when she's in a courtroom. So I would suggest that you have a long talk with her, unless what you want to do is have a lifetime of grief from your daughter.
My attitude has nothing to do with this case.
Your attitude, madam, is what's going to land you in trouble probably for the rest of your adult life unless you decide to take an attitude pill.
Okay,
in any event, the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $878.70, which is the cheapest of the three estimates that I got. That's all.
You may step out. Step out, please.
Because
she brought her stupid over there, and that's exactly what she gets.
Well, when you deal with ignorant people, ignorant things end up happening, so it doesn't make a difference.
Everything is fine. Everything is fine.
Parties on Albert versus Bond. Step forward, please.
24-year-old student Sherry Albert says her friend Tracy Bonds owes her $150 for an entertainment center. Tracy says Sherry ate her ice cream.
All right, you're two old friends. You got divorced, you had a child, you moved in with a defendant who was an old friend of yours. You had a fight, according to your papers, over a half gallon of ice cream. Now, you don't explain that to me, but I will tell you, my curiosity got to me. I said, how could a half gallon of ice cream come between two people who had been such good friends? So first tell me how that happened.
Well, it wasn't exactly the ice cream. That was just one factor that the defendant used in order to start an argument with me. Actually, what it was that she had a new boyfriend who she wanted to move in with her. Therefore, she felt as though she would start different arguments with me in order to push me out of the apartment.
So you think the ice cream was just a ruse?
Right. That was only one thing that she did.
Well, but tell me about the ice cream anyway, because I'm dying to know.
What it was is that previously I had put $150 worth of groceries into the apartment, and our agreement in the three apartments that we've shared together was that the food is everyone's. I have a 2-year-old, she has a 3-year-old. We give to all of our kids alike. Therefore, she bought some Breyer's ice cream. And I was a bit depressed regarding my divorce, and I was just really having a bad time. And me, I ate the ice cream. It's like the thing that soothes me, and I felt worse about it than anyone else because I was the one who was going to have to go exercise it off. So the next morning, she wakes up slamming things and whatnot and says, well, Sherry, you need to replace my Breyer's ice cream. And I'm like, I will not. I just put $150 worth of groceries in here. We share. What is this going on?
Is that what it was about?
This particular time, I made a homemade apple pie, and I went and brought the Breyers ice cream. And I made the pie, and I put it in the oven, and I cooked it, and then I had to go to work the next day.
And you went to
and
have
the
the pie.
ice cream was there, and I come home from work the next day. The pie was untouched, the ice cream was gone.
Now look at the two of you smiling. Look at each other and smile. Look at
I
each
still
other.
love her, Judge, but you know, sometimes we...
But look at her and tell her that.
I love you, Sherry, but you know, I understand that sometimes we just don't get along. But I do believe that you should have replaced the ice cream. I left a note. I asked her to replace the ice cream. I left a kind note. I said, could you please replace the Breyers ice cream?
This case is not about Breyers ice cream.
That's
this case is
right.
about an entertainment center. All right, so let's get to that. Now I figured out what the ice cream was about. You had an entertainment center. You were moving out. You said you left the entertainment center at the house because she was going to buy it from you. Correct?
Right.
For $150?
Right.
She hasn't given you the $150? You want the entertainment center. Is that what this case is about?
That and also my son's hobby horse, which she won't turn over to me either.
She says you can have the hobby horse.
She can have it. That's her son. I love her son. She can have it.
Hobby horse is yours. She indicated that in her answer. Okay. Did you say you would buy the entertainment
No,
center?
I didn't, Your Honor.
Why would she leave it there if you didn't leave on good terms?
Because she didn't want anything reminding her of her husband. Her and her husband were separated, and she said she didn't want anything reminding her of her husband.
Why did you leave it there?
The reason why I left it there is because me and Tracy Bonds made a verbal agreement that she would pay me $150 for that entertainment center. I have a witness who knows this also.
How does she know it, the witness?
Because she was also a mutual friend of me and Tracy Bonds. As a matter of fact, I know her through
Is that you?
Tracy Bonds.
Step up, please. Did you hear Miss Bonds make this agreement to pay $150?
Yes.
Hmm?
Yes, I did.
Where were you when you heard this
In the
conversation?
apartment. Tracy was talking to Sherry on the phone. She was going to withhold the $150 because her ex-husband had put a hole in the wall, and she had went to Michael Chan, their landlord, and got an estimate for the hole.
Your ex-husband punched a hole in the wall.
He threw an iron and hit the wall.
Well, why is she responsible for that?
Because she said that she would pay for it when she moved. When I asked her about the hole in the door, I was not there at the time. I asked her about the hole, and she said that her husband had put it there and that she'd pay for it.
Did you tell her you would pay for it?
I said that I would get the money from my ex-husband to pay it.
According to these papers, fixing the hole was $60, and she owed another $20 to the landlord for a late fee. That's $80. Where's your $80?
I tried to give it to her.
Where is it now?
In my bank account.
Good, you're going to give that to her. $80 to her. That takes care of her debt to you. Now, she wants back this entertainment center. You say it was just a gift. She didn't want anything to remind her of her ex-husband. This child that you have is the child of this ex-husband?
Yes, it is.
Believe me, she's got plenty to remember the ex-husband by.
Tell her that.
Do you understand?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why did your husband leave you? Because you're crazy. That's why.
You lost
Your
your mind.
her husband.
My husband wants me today.
You want to give her back the entertainment
She can
center?
have it back, but ma'am,
Wonderful.
she does need to know that she can't, give somebody something and think that she's going to give it back by bringing the police and force and entry into somebody's house.
When are you going to make this exchange?
She may come by Saturday.
What time?
And I can't come Saturday. My son has to go to a birthday party.
Oh, what's important?
Well, just a second. Oh, that's
My
important.
son's birthday
Just
party.
a second.
Okay.
What time is the birthday party?
It's about 2, so in the morning would be okay.
Would the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning be okay?
No, that's not okay. She has to come in the She needs to come in the afternoon.
What time's the birthday party over?
I figure I should be home by at least about 5:30 or 6.
Fine. Can she come at 6?
Yes.
Good. 6 o'clock on Saturday. You pick up the hobby horse, entertainment center, check for $80. That's all.
Why does that excuse? You may step out.
I'm not going to get my stuff.
And on the next Judge Judy.
This is pure stupidity and
No, these are facts.
This is narcissistic behavior right here. That's
Oh, you learned a new vocabulary word.
Well, isn't that nice? Why did your husband leave you? Because you're crazy. That's why.
Do you have a man? Have you ever had a husband? Did you marry your baby's father?
You know
No.
what? No,
Thank
you know what? The reason why is because I don't want to go through what you've gone through. That's
Okay,
why.
well,
Because I'm
anyway.
smart enough to not get caught up with a husband.
Oh, so why do you have
crazy
to bring
husband.
foul language into it?
Because you're stupid. That's
Okay, learn a new vocabulary word for stupid.
She's a crazy.
Oh, now I'm gonna sue you for using foul language.
City Entertainment because she says they promised her 6 acting roles in movies that were never made.
Order. All rise.
Judge, number 4 on the calendar in the matter of Ireland versus Sin City. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
All right. This is an action for breach of contract, as I understand it. Miss Ireland, do you say that you signed a contract with the defendant's company to appear in 6 videos or 6 movies? Excuse me. To appear in 6 videos over a 6-month period, and you did not appear in those videos, you want to be fully compensated for that
That is
contract.
correct, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
For the most part, yes. That was a minimum of 6 videos that I signed for. I signed an exclusive contract with Sin City Entertainment, which kept me from making movies with any other company. And when I received no compensation for being exclusive with this company, and they put me in no movies of any kind, let alone the minimum 6 required for the contract, I have been forced to take this kind of proceedings.
May I see the contract, please?
Yes.
Who prepared this contract?
Mickey Blank's.
Is that you, sir?
Yes, it is.
Yes, I'm sorry. His secretary, I believe.
Is this your standard contract?
No.
Why not?
well,
The
we
reason
don't-
I'm asking you this, well, your name is Blanks?
Blank, B-L-A-N-K, blank.
Mr. Blank?
Yes.
The reason I'm asking you that question is, this is the most inartfully drafted contract that I've ever read. Now, so why wasn't she given your standard contract?
Okay. We don't have a standard contract. What that instrument is an agreement between an artist and our company.
Well, an agreement is a contract.
You could use the word contract, yes.
Of course.
Okay. We don't feel it's a formal contract as such. What this does, it benefits both the artist and our company by pulling our efforts together.
Your Honor, if I may, I'd like to point out that there was 2 other girls that were put under contract at the same time as I, and they have identical contracts to these.
This doesn't say it's an exclusive contract.
In the first line where I've highlighted, I believe it does say it's an exclusive contract between Sin City and myself.
Well, but that word is unclear. I mean, that is an unclear, I don't know what an exclusive legal and binding agreement.
It binds me from being able to work for any other companies.
So
for basically for that 6-month minimum period, I was not allowed to
Was
do
that
any
your
work for other
understanding, sir?
companies.
No. No.
What was your
Okay,
understanding?
At no point did we ever stop Kylie from working with anybody. My understanding of this agreement, okay, is as such. Sin City is a very top-of-the-line company in the adult entertainment field. We put out roughly 6 to 8 features a month. And the purpose of this contract was twofold. It benefited us and it benefited Kylie as well.
Why didn't you use her services?
What transpired, and if I give you a little bit more background on the situation, Kylie is an adult entertainer. She's one of the top entertainers in the industry, and she does very, very well. I'm sure the lion's share of her income is not generated by making adult videos. I'm sure that's through dance tours and all the other type of work that she does.
Is that true?
To an extent, yes, Your Honor, that is true. The reason he's going to tell you next that I went out on tour, and the reason that I went out on a dance tour is because they had no plans of using me in any movies and were not giving me my contracted money per month as they should have been. So I was forced to go out on tour to dance to make some income.
Well, they don't guarantee you to pay $1,000 a month.
They guaranteed that they would put me in one movie, which would contain at least a minimum of one scene, which would pay me a minimum of $1,000 per month.
But they could, for instance, have given you 4 movies in 1 month. Would that
And then they would have had to pay me more.
This is a very poorly written contract. Do you have a lawyer?
Yes, I do.
Did your lawyer read over this contract?
Yes, he did.
Before you signed it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, he did. I'm sorry, Your Honor. Yes, he did.
And advised you to sign it?
He said that it was a legal and binding agreement, being not very official looking or not, it still bound me to exclusive contract work with this company, and that I should honor it if I was going to choose to enter into it.
Anyway, I'm going to let you finish, and then I'm come back to you. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, basically, what I'm trying to bring out is our industry is very unique to itself. Okay, Kylie, I'm sure, makes a lion's share of her income, not through making videos, but through her touring and her fan clubs and all the other type of work that she does. What the video does is keep her out in front of the public, okay, and working for Sin City, which is a very prestigious company. It adds that much more credibility to who she is and what she does. Kylie is at the top of the industry and dealing with a top company. At the time, it created a bunch of hoopla. She benefited greatly from the publicity. Right when she signed, we had a very large party honoring one of our movies, and we invited everyone from all over the world, all the press and everyone. And even though the party was honoring this movie, Kylie and some of the other girls who were under contract with us, were under this agreement with us, benefited greatly by it. Her picture was all over the magazines in this country.
So why didn't you use her?
What happened was, roughly about a month after the contract was signed, we had a trade show. And at that point, our company took a change of direction, and they put a new person in charge of production. And he's no longer there, by the way, but he was going off in a different step. We would have liked to use Kylie, but Kylie had obligations to dance and what have you.
Just a minute. About a month afterwards, you had a change of direction. What does that mean? Explain that to me.
We had a change of personnel. We hired a fellow named Ed Powers, who's very big in this industry, to do our productions. And Ed was going to take the company in basically a little bit different direction. Okay. However,
why you keep saying that? What kind of different direction?
Well, we were at the time we were doing a lot of features that were meant for Playboy and Spice Channel. Ed wanted to do stuff that was more reality-based type features, but we still would utilize Kylie if the conditions were correct. Kylie was.
What conditions?
If she was available, if it was there to be had. When I say if it was there to be had, no, if we lost communication for a period of a couple months, and it's not our job to hunt people down if they don't communicate. You know, if they're not there on us.
Well, do you have a phone number for her?
Yes.
Did you call her and say you have to come back? We have a film for you to do?
Not personally, no.
Did anybody that affiliated with you that you know of contact her within the first month, second month, third month?
I'm sure there was some correspondence, but I'm not aware. I couldn't give you a specific date.
Did you have any correspondence with them a month afterwards, 2 months afterwards, 3 months afterwards?
I called Mickey, I called several other people at Sin City Entertainment, trying to see when we were going to shoot a movie, when we were going to do some more projects together. I was anxious. Like Mickey had said, we'd done a lot of promotion. We had been pushing the fact that we were now working together, Sin City and Kylie, Ireland, and we were going to make big projects, and we'd done all this hoopla, and nothing was coming out of it.
Later on Judge Judy.
Adult film stars are not complete and total bimbos, that a lot of us do treat this very professionally and that it is a business, and although we may be having a lot of fun doing it, take us seriously.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Adult movie star Kylie Ireland claims producer Mickey Blank and his production company reneged on a deal to star her in 6 movies.
I kept calling and calling. If Mickey is trying to say that he had a hard time reaching me, that is physically impossible because I carry on my person all the time a 800 paging system. So Sin City can call me toll free. It reaches anywhere in the United States, and it can get me at any time of the day. He also had my current home phone numbers as well as my cell phone numbers, and so I was totally reachable. And one other thing I did do, and I still do this for my current company, I'm signed with a different company right now, VCA Pictures, is I make a schedule and I fax it to my employers each month, which lets them know when I'm scheduled to be dancing at this place or doing this bookstore signing.
Did you fax that to their company?
I have faxed copies of it to Mickey Blank, to Gigi Appleton, and to Mark.
We receive one calendar that I'm aware of, and you were booked for the entire month.
I always send them in groups of 3 to
So
4, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, I was only aware, and I was there at the time. I only received one for 1 month, and you were booked
How
for the
many
month.
times did you have feature films during this 6-month agreement
We
that you wanted to use her in?
Well, good question. Right after that time, I was changed to a different position.
So the answer is you don't know.
The answer is I don't know.
Well, she says that you only, according to her, contacted her once. And that was towards the end of the 6-month period. So she's giving you that. Now, why didn't you do that film?
Because they gave me 1 day's notice, Your Honor.
Do you know about that, sir?
Yes, I didn't know it was 1 day's notice, but I do know that there was some correspondence, and Kylie expressed that she was upset with the situation. So we kind of said, well, we have work for you. Would you like to do this?
Tomorrow.
I don't think it was 1 day.
In the contract, Your Honor, it states that I'm supposed to be offered first choice of the pick of the best of the movies, and they never called me, and I feel that them calling me 1 day before the project was to be shot is not only very unprofessional, even in the adult industry, but it was well, shocking for one, but I think I was a replacement more than given the first choice.
Let me ask you this, sir. What I'm hearing is that shortly after you signed the plaintiff to this agreement, and it is loosely written, it is a contract, and it says you're going to use her 6 months, with an option really for another 6 months. You'll come back after 6 months, but for that 6-month period, she was supposed to work 6 films.
Right.
And I gather from what you're telling me, shortly after you signed this contract with her, your company hired and then took on a different direction from being films that were made for like Playboy Channel. You were going into reality. Do you know what that? I'm not going to go into that.
Right. Well, reality-based.
This is a family court.
Right.
Reality.
Right.
And then that person, for what is no longer with your company. Is that right?
That's correct.
So that for that 6-month period, am I to assume that Sin City Productions was sort of in a state of flux?
Not exactly. When I say we took a different course, we still made features. We still had films we were putting out each month that we could have possibly utilized Kylie in.
Well, then why didn't you?
What transpired was we lost the communication.
Well, but you don't know that, sir. You can't tell me. She sounds like a... Listen, she may be the star of adult films. Sounds to me she's the star of adult films who has a very organized business sense.
Yes, she does.
Right?
Thank you.
This to her is a business.
Absolutely.
She's got an 800-pager so people can reach her all the time. She faxes, and I believe her when she says that. She faxes her schedule to the production company so that you know where she is at all times. So she's not some airhead.
Your Honor.
Thank you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Really make it sound like Sin City wouldn't have benefited anything from having me under contract, though, and that amuses me.
Oh, don't
my movies sell very well, and you guys would have made a lot of money.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Filmmaker Mickey Blank says he couldn't honor a deal to star actress Kylie Ireland in 6 sex films because he couldn't find her.
If you were making feature films, is it because this new person that you had decided that he didn't want to use this particular talent, that he wanted to use some other kinds of talents to make these reality movies?
Well, yes and no.
Well, even if it's partially yes, you're stuck.
Okay, well, let me clarify what I'm saying, okay?
Okay.
First of all, I do agree with you. Kylie is not an airhead by any means whatsoever.
Absolutely not.
She's highly successful, and she's at the top of her field, and deservingly so. But we feel it's not our job to track a star down. We make an agreement to make movies, okay?
What, are you supposed to check in with you every day?
No, let me finish my sentence, please.
Yeah.
Often I did.
Okay. Well, what we do is, okay, one schedule I did receive, okay, was booked for the month. Okay, the following month, I can't say firsthand that I saw any kind of schedule fax whatsoever. To my knowledge, it wasn't, because I did have communication with the fellow that was in charge of production.
Well, if you had communication with the person who was in charge of production, I'm going to let you offer this one piece of hearsay, sir. How many times, and I think you're an honest person, how many times were you told that they tried to reach the plaintiff to do a film and could not?
I don't have an answer for that.
That's the issue. It would seem to me, and I'm a lay person, this is not my industry, this industry or theatrical industry, but it just seems from a common sense perspective, I am a producer. I have a film that I want to produce. I have a talent that I want to utilize. I pick up the phone and I call that talent, either at a home or at a 1-800 number that she has so she can be beeped all over the place, and I say, I have a film that I want you to do next week, in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks. Right? It would seem to me that the talent doesn't call you periodically because she might miss an opportunity. If the responsibility was hers and she, for instance, called you every 2 weeks, well, it was the odd week that the opportunity arose, and you're suggesting that she is to be penalized for that. No. It's the person who is producing these films who picks up the phone and says, I got a film, want you to do it, could you do it? And you can't tell me that anybody called her and said that, with the exception of this one time, the end of the contract. Am I correct?
Well, not since the beginning of the contract, also.
Well, I believe her.
Can I read you something?
Sure.
I brought along some of the magazines that covered the whole signing of the contract girls to Sin City. Most of them are AVN magazine, the adult video news.
No, you don't have to read them to me. I have one question for you. Don't read them to me.
Are you
As
sure?
a matter of fact, I'm absolutely positive.
Okay.
Because they're really not relevant to this contract. I mean, I understand.
There's just a quote in there from Mickey Blank that I think you would find quite amusing.
Well, what does he say? All right. Just
Twist
one
your
quote. One quote. I'm always pleased to be amused.
It's called Ashley and Ireland Take Up Residence in Sin City. Mickey Blank, the general manager and self-described honcho of Sin City, couldn't be happier. In a move which he calls both fortuitous and a reflection of our new, more upscale image, the company has signed super starlets Caitlin Ashley and Kylie Ireland to exclusive one-year contracts. We're very fortunate to have two of today's biggest stars working for us, says Blank. The girls were looking to sign exclusive deals, and we were looking to do the same. The timing was just right for everyone.
So why do you think you weren't called?
Your Honor, I really have no idea. That's why I'm standing here today.
Was the other gal who signed this kind of contract used during that 6-month period?
Neither of the other two girls were used, and one of the girls did take the case to court, and right as she says, as she was walking out the door, Sin City called her up and called her to the offices to go make a deal. The other girl just blew it off, which is what many girls in our industry do, which is very upsetting to me, and which is why I'm actually taking the steps to stand up for the little people, I guess you could say.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. Blank, I understand that what happened to you was a change in company direction. Whether you had control over that direction, I'm not sure, but it's your company, so you're the one who's got the deep pockets. It seems clear to me that you did not comply with the terms of the agreement that you made with the plaintiff, with the possible exception of that one final film, because it doesn't say that you'd be given a certain amount of notice. However, your contract provides for 6 films over a 6-month period, which is $6,000. The limit of this court is $5,000. So even if we deduct the $1,000 for that one particular film that was offered to you and you rejected, that brings you down to $5,000, which is really what you're suing for. I believe you're entitled to that under this breach of contract, and I'm awarding $5,000 to the plaintiff. Thank you.
Thank you, Your
Parties
Honor.
are excused. You may step out. Back door to your right, please.
And on the next Judge Judy.
Well, of course, I'm extremely happy, and I feel like even though this is just me, one small adult film star, I have made a step toward making right what so many adult producers and directors and companies have done wrong to the girls for so long. And I'm very happy that she has seen things my way and that has awarded me.
Well, I'm a little disappointed because I feel Kylie greatly benefited through publicity and many benefits when we signed the contract. And as I stated in court, you know, her income is not determined by the videos she does, it's by her dancing, her fan clubs, all the other work that she does. And it's quite standard that these things don't hold up according to the way they are. And I'm just a little disappointed the judge couldn't see our way. If you look at it, anything, there's never 100% one way or the other. There's a lot of gray matter in between. And I think that gray area is where this case should have landed.
You really make it sound like Sin City wouldn't have benefited anything from having me under contract, though, and that amuses me.
Oh, don't get me
My
wrong.
movies sell very well, and you guys have made a lot of money.
I put you under contract personally because I know you're a benefit. You're a top star. We think you're excellent. However, I think that we have a lot to offer you as well. And
It's too bad that it didn't work out that way. I do want everyone to realize that adult film stars are not complete and total bimbos, that a lot of us do treat this very professionally and that it is a business, and although we may be having a lot of fun doing it, take us seriously. I'm glad that after a whole year we have finally managed to muck through this whole situation and finally get things settled, and I hope there's no hard feelings.
I wish you lots of luck.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure doing it. It's a business doing pleasure.
Yeah, this is number 52 on the calendar in the matter of Warden versus Rivera. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Mr. Warden, you rented a room in your home to the defendant. It's a room that's attached to your house in the back, according
To the garage, yes.
And you were charging her a nominal rent, a couple $100s a month?
Yes.
Now you're suing her for $5,000.
Yes.
She, in turn, has decided to countersue you for $5,000. And I assume, since they're both nice round numbers, each of you is going to tell me why you're suing the other for $5,000. Go.
Well, a couple months after she moved in, the phone bill started going up. So I told her that she would have to take care of that as part of the rent. She agreed. Well, several months later, it got up really high, about $1,900.
For a phone bill?
Phone bill, yes.
Who do you talk to? Madam, who do you talk to for $1,900?
It was a friend of mine that was calling collect.
From where?
Oakland and Hawaii.
Calling collect on his phone?
Yeah, well, I was paying the bill for his phone bill as well.
Listen, whenever my husband complains, I'm going to get a copy of that phone bill and stick it in front of his face.
I've got plenty.
I have too.
So how much do you owe him for the phone?
I paid amounts. I have them all written down here. For the phone, I've made a $1,000 payment right before I moved out of the house.
How much does she still owe you for the phone?
About $1,500.
Do you have proof of that, sir? She says she owes you about $300.
Okay, well,
Around that area.
here we go. I can give you all these, Your Honor.
No, don't give them to me. Show them to her. Please. Look at them.
Okay.
Take a
So
break.
these are your only receipts, right? that you
Listen
paid?
to me. Those are the phone bills. Is that correct?
These are the phone bills.
All right. Just a second.
I've taken full responsibility for the phone bill. And
So how much do you owe him for the phone?
Well, I moved out because he changed the locks on my door.
I didn't ask you anything about locks. I asked you about phone.
I don't know. I don't know the total amount.
What's the total amount there, sir?
$1,538.38.
Those for long distance and collect calls?
Yes.
Good. Bert, could I have those, please? All right. What else?
She had me arrested.
For what?
For battery.
Okay, tell me about that, sir.
Well, okay. I confronted her about the phone bill many times, and she skipped out on this many times. So I finally saw her going past the window, so I got out of the house and I stopped her and said, Michelle, what about the phone bill? And she said, I'm in a hurry, I'm in a hurry. I said, no, just tell me when you're going to pay. Well, one thing led to another, and she's in her truck, and I grabbed the keys because I didn't want her to leave. I wanted to know when I was going to get this phone bill because she was 90% moved
You
out.
grabbed the keys?
I grabbed the keys.
From where?
From her ignition.
Okay.
Anyway, I didn't get them all the way in my hand. They fell to the floor. Anyway, a couple guys pulled up, and she was crying, so I just let her leave. So about 3 hours later, I see a flashlight shining through my back window, and it's the police. So I go out there, and they talk to me a little bit, and they say, well, Michelle says you assaulted her, and we're going to arrest you. And I said, well, look at her. There's no marks on her. And she says, well, we know, but if she wants you arrested for battery, we have to arrest you. Otherwise, it's a felony on us.
So you were arrested?
So I was arrested, and the end result of that was I went to court, got very sick in court, had to go to the hospital. I had to pay a $506 fine for disturbing the peace because there was no evidence for
So why did
for
you have
battery.
to pay a fine? Did
Well,
you have a trial?
I paid the fine because I was...
Did you have a trial,
No.
Mr. Warden? So you pled guilty to disturbing the peace?
Yes, I did.
So you pled guilty to disturbing the peace, and your penalty was a fine.
Yes.
So what do you want her to pay that for? Why didn't you go to trial?
It was her fault.
No.
Well, okay.
No,
I got
Mr.
sick
Warden,
that day.
Mr. Warden,
Okay.
you have to understand, sir. If you had gone to trial and you were acquitted and you wanted to sue her for damages, for your costs, your attorney's fees, lost wages, whatever,
Okay.
that's legitimate. But when you go to court and you plead guilty, then you can't say, well, I'm going to plead guilty, I'll take whatever consequences there are, and then I'm going to go sue her. Because what you said was I disturbed the peace in this incident. Right?
Right.
Well, I'm not going to go behind that, sir. You pled guilty.
Okay.
The judge say to you, you're telling the truth when you're pleading guilty, Mr. Warden?
No. I just signed a paper.
Well, did you read the paper?
Yeah, I signed away my rights and the little thing they gave me, yes.
You signed away your rights, and
Yeah.
it said, the piece of paper that you signed, this is an acknowledgement that you are pleading guilty to these charges.
Yes, you're right.
You are giving up your rights to have a trial. You have an absolute right under the Constitution
Okay,
of
yes.
this state. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay, so forget that amount of money. What's
All
next?
right,
But I'm going
well-
to find out. Did you have him arrested?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Because he grabbed me by my neck and...
Just a second. Are you telling me he grabbed you by your neck?
He grabbed me by my neck and pinned me up against the seat in my truck.
Tell me how that happened, Miss Rivera.
I came home from work, and, well, just before that, Chris was always leaving notes on my door. I have a 3-year-old child, and he threatens me in front of my child. He throws trash cans at my front door.
Why didn't you move?
I was in the process of moving. I told him, I gave him notice that I would be out by the 30th of the month. And meanwhile, he's making my life miserable. He's left notes on my door saying that I'm not allowed to have any boys staying at my house.
Just late night visitors. She
No,
had
that's
traffic
not what
through
the
my
note
house
says.
all night long.
I did not. Here's the notes that he would pin to my door with
Let me
steak
see 'em.
knives. Here's more.
Did you write all these notes, sir?
Well, I don't see them, but I did leave notes on her door
I'm going to
telling
show
her.
them to you. Why didn't you just move to evict her?
Well, I made it clear that she was only supposed to be there a few months. She wasn't supposed to be there. That wasn't a rental property. It's not a rental room. I only let her move there as a favor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your carpet is still sitting on my neighbor's lawn. When are you going to come get it?
I'm not coming
So,
to your house.
I'm just going to trash everybody's house.
No,
I don't
think so,
care.
Chris.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 40-year-old Chris Warden claimed he rented his guest house to auto detailer Michelle Rivera, but she ran up huge phone bills and caused widespread damage.
What else are you suing her for, Mr. Warden?
Well, at the court, I was very sick. And one of the reasons I just wanted to get out of there that day and be done with it, I went to the hospital that night. And I spent the night in the hospital that night, stress-related. And then 2 days later, I had surgery. And I lost a month of work because of that.
Yeah.
And it was all due to stress, this stress. I can't believe the things she was doing.
And the fact that you've been under stress and strain as a result of this incident, sir, is not something that I intend to compensate you for. You entered into this agreement with her, and if you had an illegal tenancy in the back of your house, that's something that you have to deal with if you're doing something that's illegal. If you can't have her evicted, right? The law is there for your protection as well as the tenant's protection. If you have a room that you're not supposed to rent out to somebody, you can't evict them, and if they make your life miserable, as she did, told me, then you take your chances if you can't get her out. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
All right, so
and I
she's
knew
not
I was taking my chances when
well,
she
you
moved
take
in.
your chances. But she owes you for the phone bill. That's absolutely clear, $1,538. As I said, that's some hefty phone bill. Now, Ms. Rivera, you countersued him for $5,000. I'd like to hear about this.
Well, initially, I wasn't planning on suing anybody. After the arrest, I felt really bad. I felt bad in the first place because he was a friend. I went through a lot of emotional stress during the months that I was living there because of these notes and the things that he was, the way he was
A lot of
behaving.
those notes, madam, refer to the phone bill.
Okay, but...
Just a second. A lot of the notes refer to the phone bill. He rented you a place to stay for $200 a month, which is very cheap, and you had access to his phone, and you went into and you used his phone, and as far as I'm concerned, abused his phone by having total strangers call collect his phone collect to the tune of $1,900 and $1,000. That's outrageous, right? And when he asks you for the money, you blow him off. What do you expect him to do? Kiss you on both cheeks?
No,
Ms. Rivera, you're not going to stand there and look and say to me, well, you know, I didn't do anything wrong. You did. You did do something wrong. So you want to tell me again why you think I should even consider giving you $5,000 and for what?
I didn't blow him off on the phone bill. I made payments. I have the list of the
You
payments
owe
that
him
I've made.
$1,538 that he hasn't been paid. You think the phone company is going to say to him, oh, wait until see the outcome of what happens when you go to court? He's got to pay it.
The phone bill is paid as of this morning. I've called the phone company this morning before I came in here and verified there's right now a $26.62.
What does that have to do with you? Did you pay it?
No, when I left the house, I had to move out of my house at 11 o'clock at night, all of my belongings,
Hey,
with
listen,
my child.
you acknowledge, if I believed you, what you said in your papers at least, you said, well, I maybe owe him $300 on a phone bill.
Yeah.
Right? I want to tell you something. That's outrageous. When did you move out?
I moved out on, I believe, May 8th.
So for a couple of months, how dare you owe him $300, if I believe you, $300 on a phone bill. And it was a lot more than $300. The fact that he's paid it so that he would be able to maintain his phone in his house, right, is none of your business. I want to know why you think he owes you anything.
Well, basically, with the phone bill part, I wasn't going to go back to his house again after he assaulted me. I mean, that was very clear. When he got out of jail in the morning, he called my voicemail and left a message that I now owe him another $250 for his bail. It's just a matter of playing games. I was waiting for this battery case to go up into court. I haven't been notified yet that he even had a trial date. I wasn't going to put myself in that, seat to go there where he can abuse me some more.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. And later today,
I had gotten out of the shower, and I was in my robe, and I flashed him.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
I want to tell you something. I don't see that he abused you, and I'm not considering the fact that the district attorney allowed him to plead guilty to disorderly conduct rather than to an assault, even an assault misdemeanor, as evidence of the fact that he actually assaulted you on the day in question. Assault to a plea of guilty to disorderly conduct is hardly a felony. It's not even a misdemeanor. It's probably in this jurisdiction no more than a violation. Now, you still haven't told me why you think he owes you a quarter, Miss Rivera.
Well, I didn't want to file a countersuit against
Good,
him.
then you didn't.
Okay.
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,538. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
Thank you.
It's none of your business what I do.
That's right.
Okay.
And I don't care what you do.
Good, and I don't care what you do either.
Good. You stay away from my house.
I don't come near your house. I don't
You
touch
do.
your card. You think
Yes,
I really
you
waste
do.
my time on you?
Yes, you have.
Chris, I haven't given you a second thought since I left there.
Baloney. Then why are you here?
You're sick. Well,
What
you
a
grabbed me by my
bitch.
neck and you know it.
I did not touch
Go
you.
ahead, call names.
Show me
Feel
some
good?
marks.
You feel good?
You think
Feel good?
I'd break your neck if I touched you?
Are you threatening
You're just
me?
No, I never threatened you. Never.
And now the next case.
Parties on Sanchez versus Stemwhittle. Step forward, please.
22-year-old student Christian Sanchez is suing his ex-fiancée, 23-year-old Amy Stemwhittle, for money he claims she owed him when they broke up. Amy says he tried to blackmail her with a nude photo.
You were together for how many years?
About a year and a half.
That's right. At that time.
And during that year and a half, you lived together for a relatively short period of time. How long?
About 6
From
months.
June to end of September.
And you say that the defendant owes you some $755. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Tell me for what?
It's for rent, phone bills, and cable bills.
You moved into an apartment together.
Yes.
A house.
House.
House. Signed a lease?
Yes.
Both your names?
Mm-hmm.
And what happened, Mr. Sanchez?
Well, our engagement, we broke up, and she was looking.
When?
We broke up on August 9th, 95.
Why?
It just didn't work out.
Okay. But according to your complaint, the defendant lived in the house after August of 95.
Yes, she did.
How did that come about?
Well, she asked to live a little longer because she was looking for a place to stay.
Is that right?
Yeah, I was looking for an apartment at the time.
So you broke up on August 9th. When did you finally move out of this house?
Probably the beginning of October.
And what arrangements had you made for the bills during that time?
We arranged that she asked, like she knew that she owed me money, And she,
Don't tell me what she knew. What conversation did you have?
how to arrange the monthly installments. She wanted to pay by monthly installments what she owed me.
What did she owe you for?
The rent, the phone, and the cable bills.
You mean from August 9th until the beginning of October? That's 2 months.
It started from May 26, 95, when she started accruing a debt to me.
Is that right?
No, we were engaged. We were living like we were married. We put all of our money together, and he would write all the checks.
So according to you, you didn't owe him any money?
Mm-mm.
How much was the whole rent on the house?
Per month?
Yes.
$500.
Well, for the time that you lived there after you broke your engagement and you were looking for a place to live, were you paying him rent?
No, we
contributing
lived,
towards the rent?
We had one conversation about it, and I had said that he had asked for half the rent, and I said that I'd pay half the rent if he paid half the groceries and did half of the work around the house, and he wouldn't do that.
So you bought all the groceries?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it was. I would do the shopping and I would do the cooking.
Well, did he agree to that? Did he agree that you would just do the work around the house in exchange for your share of rent? Did he say that's okay?
Well, it was just another argument. There was never an agreement made either way.
According to your complaint, Mr. Sanchez, there was a conversation that you had with the defendant where she said to you, how much do I owe you? And you said?
I just gave, it was like, I just said $400, call it even, you know.
You remember that conversation?
Nothing came up about the $400 until I called him about, I think it was this past February, and he had...
What'd you call him for?
He had a picture of me that I wanted back. And when I asked for the picture, he said, well, you can have the picture if you give me $400.
Just a picture that you, I assume that you wouldn't like around.
Right.
Did you get your picture back?
I did get the picture, but I don't know that he doesn't have copies or didn't show everyone in his fraternity.
You'll never know, but you got your picture back.
I got the picture back.
Okay. You didn't do anything like that, sir, did you?
No.
Okay. Ms. Stemwendel, can you prove to me what monies you contributed to the house from during the months of August, September, those 2 months? Can you?
No, I kept no records of that. I didn't think that it was really necessary.
Well, it seems fair to me that while you were living in the same house and yet not engaged, once you had broken this engagement, that you should pay half of the rent, half of the utilities, half of everything else, because you're no longer in a situation where you're moving towards a marriage. You're in a situation where you're moving out the door, right? So give me some idea of what you say you contributed during this 2-month period.
Well, while I was going to school, I was a nanny, and I probably brought in $150 or $200 a week, and that, I'd say 100 of it would go towards the bills that we were paying together.
Do you remember her giving you any money during this period, sir?
She didn't give me anything.
She gave you no money?
No money.
And could you prove that you gave him any money?
No, I would have no proof of it, because a lot of times being a nanny, I'd be paid in cash, too.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
I think it's only reasonable. Your initial agreement, according to you, was $400. That's certainly most fair, considering that the rent was $500. You agree with that a month, which means for the 2 months it was $1,000 that you were living there, which means if you just paid for rent alone, your share would have been $500, right?
Okay.
Okay, and that doesn't include utilities, phone, anything else. Now, during that time, if you bought groceries, it certainly didn't come to that kind of money. Your oral contract, which I believe was for $400, so it's very easy. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $400. Thank you.
All right, so excuse you, may step out the back to your right.
On the next, Judge Judy.
That basically he had no morals. Not only was he blackmailing me for the picture, but he had to serve me with papers in front of a 3rd grade class. That's pretty low.
I mean, we could just put it behind us and let's go on and move on with our lives. And that's all I think all of us want to go, is just go on our separate lives and just go on.
This is the new boyfriend. This is Jeff.
His home. He's asking for attorney fees he paid to get the guns back.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 460 on the calendar in the matter of Dersawa versus Dersawa. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Are you Mrs. Dersawa?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Dersawa, do you think your son loves you?
I don't know.
Let me tell you what he says. Your papers indicate that your son removed some guns from your house that were your guns.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Your son says that he removed the guns from your house because he was concerned about you and concerned for his mother.
Yes.
Do you think he had reason to be concerned?
Yes, I certainly do.
Why were you concerned about your father's safety and your mother's safety?
Both of them. There have been very violent fights between the two of them, several 911 calls. My father had 2 strokes. My mom had 1. During that time, there were 3 suicide attempts by my father. I had just learned of it, that that's what the events were on the 3rd one, and I removed the guns at that time. After I removed the guns, a 4th attempt was made, where he attempted also to take my mom with him, as he put it.
How?
She went to make a 911 call because she found him in the car. He had stabbed himself in the arm. And this was on my birthday. And she went to make the 911 call, and he grabbed her, put her on the ground, throttled her throat, and said he was going to take her with him.
And how long ago was that?
That was about 3.5 years ago.
And your parents are separated
Yes.
since?
During that time is when he asked for the weapons back, was right when they started separation. And I asked him, I said, Dad, I don't want to give them back to you. What do you need them for? And he said that he needed them for the money. I told him I would be glad to purchase them from him at that time. He said he was not interested in me having the firearms and was going to do anything he could to get me free of them.
Mr. Dersawa,
Yes.
Senior, is everything that your son says so far accurate?
Yes, it is.
Don't you think he did the smart thing by removing the guns?
Yes, I certainly do think that he did the right thing, and I thanked him very much for taking on the responsibility of removing the guns from the house.
But what do you want now, sir?
I asked for the guns to be returned to me.
Why do you
And
need...
he refused to return the guns to me, and I told him at that time that they were my personal property. They did not belong to him or anybody else except me, and that I wanted them back.
What do you want them for?
I originally wanted them back to hang on the wall as mementos of my childhood. And since then, I was flexible and had second thoughts, and I thought, jeepers, I'm in fairly good health, I'm in good frame of mind, and there's no reason why I should not have the guns. And I told him to return them to me. They are my personal property, and when I thanked you for them, that didn't mean that you could keep them for the rest of your life. They are mine, and I want them, and I want you to return them to me. And if you don't return them to me, I am going to take you to court. If it costs me a lot of money in attorney's fees, I am going to expect you to reimburse me the attorney fees that it costs me to get the guns back. And he didn't listen to me, I don't think.
He seems like a pretty responsible young man that you raised, and a very nice young man. You ever had any difficulty with him before? Huh?
Yes, many times.
Okay. As an adult, sir,
Yeah.
how old are you?
I'm 42 years old,
Married or single?
married.
You have children?
No.
Are you employed?
Yes.
What kind of-
Self-employed. I'm a photographer and hairstylist.
You remain close with your mother?
Yes.
Is that right?
I would like to say one thing, that it seems to me when my husband is angry at me he tries to take it out on him because he knows how close we are.
How many children do you have?
I have 2, Tim and Max Dursaway.
Are you the older brother?
Yes.
Where are the guns now?
The guns are at a friend of the family's house.
You put a value in your complaint on these guns of $500.
Yes.
None of us live forever, Mr. Dershowitz. What did you suppose would happen to these guns when you were no longer here?
I really couldn't care less.
Well, that's a good attitude. I mean, it really is. It's a good attitude.
I hope they're safe, and I hope that if anybody does get them, that they are in as good a shape as I believe that they are at the present time.
Did you at one time have issued against you by any court an order of protection or a restraining order with regard to your wife?
Yes.
And when was that?
Most of last year.
At the same time that he requested the guns back from me.
Okay. Does anybody have a copy of this restraining order?
I do.
May I see it, please? How long were you and your wife married?
It'll be 43 years, I can tell you, June 10th, this year. And I'm still going to be married on June 10th, if I'm alive.
Have there been divorce proceedings filed?
No, we both agreed to a separation. However, we agreed to a separation a long time ago, and she decided for some reason or another that she would make it legal and go through the legal procedures of getting a separation. So she hired an attorney, and then I hired an attorney to protect my rights, because at that time she told me that she was going to take everything she could get.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
We're family. We don't need to go to court over this. All you have to do is tell me what you want and I'll cut you a check.
And later today,
Your son was acting like an idiot. Your son was acting like a fool.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Max Dershowitz is suing his son Max Jr. for the attorney fees he spent to get his guns back. Max Jr. had the guns removed for fear of his father causing harm.
Are you living alone now, sir?
Yes.
Do you see your other son? Do you visit with your other son?
Well, when I get an opportunity.
Where does he live?
He lives in Riverside.
That's not so far away. You have grandchildren?
Yes, 2 grandchildren.
Do you visit with them?
Yes, usually they come down to the house where I'm living, and it's so short visit, I hardly even know that they've been there.
Mr. Dershowitz, I am, quite frankly, sir, sympathetic with your position to this extent. What you're saying to me is, I'm a grown-up, I'm an adult, I have all my faculties about me, and I don't want my children to start to make decisions for me about what's good and what's bad. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, perfect.
On the other side of that coin, sir, I am really most sympathetic with your son. Because if he were the one who returned these guns to you, and you used one of these guns either to harm yourself or to harm his mother, his life's over. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
His life is over.
Yes.
And I don't think any parent would want that for their child. I mean, if you came here, Mr. Dershowitz, and said to me, I've never done anything to suggest to my son that I would harm myself or harm his mother, and he really has no basis to be concerned about these guns that are mine, I would feel very differently, sir. But that's not the case. You have attached a financial amount of money in your lawsuit.
Yes.
You are suing for money. And I will feel more comfortable. So put the burden on me so that maybe you can make friends with your son again. I am going to give you a judgment for the money. And I am going to direct you, sir, to ensure that these guns, which are mementos of your father's history, you know, he's had them in his family for years. I don't know whether your brother has sons who might be interested in having these hunting rifles at some point in their lives, but he would despite the fact that he says he doesn't care what happens to him when he's gone, I think he would probably like to know that they remain in his family, for whatever reason.
Yes.
Fine. So I'm going to give you, sir, a judgment for the exact amount that you are requesting, and you keep the gun safe. Got it?
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Here you are, sir. Back to the right, please.
We're family. We don't need to go to court over this. All you have to do is tell me what you want, and I'll cut you a check.
And now the next case.
Parties on Smith versus Brown. Step forward, please.
Walter Smith and his 15-year-old son, Brian Davis, say Joseph Brown's 16-year-old son, Joe Jr., poured bleach on their carpet. Joe Jr. says Brian threatened him with a snake.
You the one with the snake?
Yes.
Up here. You the one with the bleach?
Yeah. Yes, Your Honor.
Up here. And you are the fathers of these two geniuses.
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
What's your first name?
Brian.
Brian, tell me what you did to this young man with your snake.
Well, we were out.
No, over here.
We were out in front of the houses, and I had a snake, and I went like this, like I was gonna put it on him.
What kind of snake did you have?
A red-tailed boa, just a little snake about this big.
Well, you said this big, and then you
Well,
said this
about
big.
like-
Is it growing?
About this big.
About this big.
Yeah, about this big.
And what, you made believe you were going to put it on him?
Yes.
Why'd you do that?
I don't know. I was just messing around.
And then what happened?
And then he threw like a icy or a Slurpee or something. I don't know what you call it. Threw it on me. And then I went back towards my house and put the snake in the garage and got a cup of water and went back outside to throw it on him. And when I got out there, he had a cup in his hand, and he said, "If you throw that on me, I'm gonna throw this on you." And it was bleach in a little cup. And then what I did is I pushed it out of his hand and threw the water on him and started going home. And then he came out of his house afterwards with a whole gallon of bleach. When I got into my house, I shut my door and he started to pour it on my back, and it got all over the carpet. And then my mom started coming downstairs, and then he went back home.
Your side.
Well, it was me, him, and a couple of other people. We were supposed to be going to the bowling alley, but instead, the dude that was supposed to be driving us said that he didn't want to go. So what we did instead is we stood outside and talked. He had his snake. This snake, I don't know what kind of snake it was, this big snake. The snake is hissing and snapping and jumping up. They thought it was funny. He turned the snake on me. So I said, get the snake away from me. I guess he didn't want to listen. Then I had went in the house and I came out with my soda. And he was like, what's in your cup? What's in your cup? And I was like, soda, right? And he knocked the cup out of my hand, threw something on me. I looked down at my clothes. My jeans and my shirt were starting to fade, so I assumed it was bleach because it was a yellowish color when he threw it out at me. I went in my house, got a thing of bleach, and came out, and I ran after him because he was running towards his house. And he ran in his house. We ran in a complete circle around the kitchen and all the way to the thing. He turned around, and he tackled me. And I had the bleach in my hand. We were on the ground, and the bleach was going everywhere. His moms had just came down when we was on the ground. I didn't go in the house and throw any bleach anywhere.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
We might have resolved the matter, but he was adamant about having my son arrested.
Your son's the one that came into my home. You should have came over. You knew what he did.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Walter Smith and his 15-year-old son, Brian Davis, say Joseph Brown's 16-year-old son, Joe Jr., poured bleach on their carpet. Joe Jr. says Brian threatened him with a snake.
Why does your son have a boa?
He likes snakes. It's out in the garage. They keep it in an aquarium out in the garage.
He didn't keep it in the aquarium.
No, that day he had it out. But the account of the story, what he's saying, based on
Were you home?
Sean. No.
Were you home?
No, ma'am, I wasn't.
You don't know what happened.
Just from my little son that witnessed it, Sean. He saw the whole thing happen. It didn't happen like he's saying it happened at all.
Sean
Well,
wasn't even out.
Listen to me. Sit there. I don't want to get him involved, sir. Your son was acting like an idiot. Your son was acting like a fool.
I agree.
You think that his father should pay for all the damage to your rug?
Yes, I think he should. His father's responsible for Joseph's actions since he's a minor.
Mhm.
And he broke into our home, and we had nothing to do with it.
No, he didn't break into your home.
I broke into your home.
Hey,
He came through our front door when it was closed and came in and poured bleach all over my son and the carpet of my home.
who started it?
Well, that's two different stories. Your
No,
Honor.
no, he told me the story. Your son told me the story, Mr. Smith. I assume you believed your son was responsible enough to have possession of a snake. Not a little teeny garter snake, but a boa that's about so big. Then if you are not a snake lover, you a snake lover, Bird?
Not really, Judge.
You wouldn't like it if somebody fooling around came over to you and tried to put the boa around your shoulders or on you,
No.
which is what he did.
Your Honor, I wanted to say something that this matter, I thought maybe could have been resolved between me and the neighbor. When I came home that afternoon, I had left, and the neighbor told me that she had called the police, that Joseph had spilled some bleach on the carpet and that Brian had threw water on Joseph. And she said the reason she called the police was that she didn't know what time I was getting home.
Why did you call the police? Who called the police?
I did.
Why?
When I got home from the doctor.
Why?
Because someone had came through my front door unannounced, uninvited, into my home, invaded my home, and dumped bleach all over my carpet.
Mr. Smith, didn't your son tell you that he and his friend were out there and they were fooling around and it got out of hand?
Yes.
Just a
yes,
second.
ma'am.
Just a second. So why would you call the police?
I just told you that, Your Honor. I told you why.
The incident was precipitated by a dumb thing that your son did. This was not a burglary in the middle of the night, sir. They had been friends, and he's a neighbor of yours. I don't understand why
It
you
was
called
an
the police.
invasion of my privacy. That's my home.
All right. Mr. Smith, you're not willing to accept any responsibility for what your son did. How old are you?
16.
Let me see the bill for the carpet.
Your Honor, I was going to say that I thought maybe we could resolve it between as neighbors, but when they decided to press charges against my son for vandalism and assault.
Okay. The entire bill for this looks like $1,720. Is that right?
Plus 120 for the my son's clothes that were completely destroyed by the bleach.
I don't care about your son's clothes. Your son started this whole problem.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
This act of lunacy was started by you and finished by you, right?
Right.
So each of you have to pay half. That sounds fair to me.
860, Judge.
You're way ahead of me, Bird. So, Mr. Smith, if you want to be fully compensated, then get your son to get a job and give you $860. And from these folks, I suggest you don't pay this for him. Let him pay for it. You know, let him do something to pay for it. Teach them all a good lesson. Right?
Right.
You feel any responsibility towards what happened?
Yeah, I feel responsible for what I did.
Good. What about you?
Yes, ma'am.
Good! Only problem is your father. He doesn't see it yet, but maybe he will. $860, which is one half of the cost of the carpet. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
If they're messing around out front like kids will do, you know, I understand all that. Joseph come into my home and, you know, cause a lot of damage inside of my home. I did contact and speak with Joseph's father. He said that he didn't want to, he wasn't responsible, he wasn't
2
paying
weeks
any.
after the district attorney dropped the charges, that's when I spoke with him. We could have resolved the matter, but
Well,
he was adamant about having my son arrested.
Your son's the one that came into my home. You should have came over. You knew what he did.
ভুইয়া হবে, এটা কি ভুইয়া হবে?
দেখা যাক 27 দিনই মেলাও।
তাইলে হয়ে যাবে।
দেখা যাক। টোকেন শেষ করে দিছি আমি।
ভাই আপনার নাম চকলেট গেমার কে রাখছে?
আটা আমি রাখছিলাম।
টোকেন নিয়ে যাও জুন পোশাক।
যাইতেছি ভাই।
আমার কাছে আসো, আমি 2 নাম্বার।
I need equipment.
ভালোবাসা হয় যদি
ভালোবাসি বড় ভালোবাসি, এর বেশি ভালোবাসা যায় না। হ্যাঁ ভালো ভালো।
মুকুল ভাই আপনার ছেলের কয় বছর?
ওর তো 1 বছর হতে যাচ্ছে। হ্যাঁ ওর 11 মাস পার হয়েছে আর কি।
আচ্ছা ভাই তুমি নিয়ে দাও।
কই জুন পোশাক আমার কাছে আসো।
এই সুপার মিডি নিয়ে যাও ভাইয়া, সুপার মিডি নিয়ে যাও।
যাচ্ছে ভাই।
দাও দিচ্ছি।
ও ভালোবাসি বড় ভালো। তোমরা ফাইট নাও না কেন, তাড়াতাড়ি ফাইট নাও, আমি এখান থেকে রিভাইভ করে দেবো সবাইকে।
মুকুল ভাই ওকে টোকেন দেন জুন পোশাককে টোকেন দেন।
টোকেন নাও আমার কাছে 3000 টোকেন আছে, আসো।
কি হতেই হবে।
আমার কাছে 1000 আছে। এই গুরুজা এক্স কার লাগবে এখানে।
আমার
এই আমি লোকেশন দিয়ে গেছি, এই যে আমি জেনে আসছিলাম।
1 মিনিট আমি আসতেছি।
আমি নিয়ে এসে দিতেছি দাঁড়ান।
ভাই আপনার নাম চকলেট গেমার যে আমার অন্তর্ভুক্ত আছে ভাই, সবাই বলে ভাই এটা কি নাম বলতো?
ইয়ার নামটা কি ভালো লাগছে নাকি?
আপনি অন্য কোনো নাম দিতে পারেন, বলতে লিখতে পারেন যে মুকুল গেমার প্রো প্লেয়ার, ও মুকুল গেমার।
না চকলেট গেমারই তো ভালো, চকলেট ভালো একটা খাবার না?
ভাই ওরা আমাকে পাবে মোটা মোটা ভাই।
আপনি তুমি দাও। তুমি নাকি থেকে
দাও গোটা লোকেশন দাও। এই হ্যালো গোটা লোকেশন দাও।
দিতেছি দাঁড়াও। আমার কাছে
মুকুল ভাই টোকেন দেন, সব টোকেন দেন।
হ্যাঁ টোকেন দিয়ে দিছে 3000।
এই আমার থেকে আরো 400 আছে, 400 না ভাই আমাকে গ্রোজা দাও। দাও এই নাও টোকেন নাও।
হ্যাঁ গাড়ি কিন্তু ভেঙে দিব।
দাও। আমাদের ছেলের কাছে 10,000 করে। এই ভাইয়া নক করিও না ভাইয়া, দয়া করে নক।
এই এক নাম্বার এই গাড়ি যেন সাল ভাই চালাতেছেন, এই গাড়ি কিন্তু যদি নিমি এটার মধ্যে উঠে 15টা নিমি আলা 15টা।
ওরে এবার তো 15টা ভাই, আগের বারে দেখছিলাম 28টা।
এখন কিন্তু এনিমি কমে গেছে, তাড়াতাড়ি কমে গেছে।
আচ্ছা জুন পুষার এখন এখান থেকে ওরে টোকেন পাইছো আবার। কত পাইছো? তুমি লুট করো। এই জুন পুষার কয়েকটা মেডি নাও, সমস্যা নেই। জুন পুষার মেডি নাও।
দাঁড়াও আমি 200 টোকেন গিফট করতেছি আপনাদেরকে। এই যে 200 টোকেন দিয়ে দিলাম।
ভাইয়া তোমার কাছে 1200 আছে, তাড়াতাড়ি 1200 দিয়ে দাও।
কারে বলেন ভাই?
জুন পুষার কি?
আমি আরো 200 টোকেন দিয়ে দিছি। 300 কাপো 300।
আমাদের জুন পুষার কাছে যাও, জুন পুষার টোকেন নিবে, টোকেন দাও জুন পুষার কি? আমার কাছে 900 আছে। মুকুল ভাই আপনার কাছে কত আছে?
আমার কাছেও আছে 900।
তো ভাই আসেন।
এই এনিমি 17টা, এনিমি আবার 17টা।
এই যে ভাই তুমি 5 মিনিট কম করতে। আমি আরো 200 টোকেন পাবো। আরো 400 পাবো। আরে মুকুল ভাই কি করলে? এই জুন পুষার তুমি মেরি বাদ দিও না, তুমি লাস্ট দিবে লাস্ট।
আরে সর বুদ্ধি কাইছো, ও আমার সাথে এসে খেলতে।
আমাদের জুন পুষারের কাছে ভাইয়া তোমার কাছে যত এমো আছে সব এমো দাও।
আমাকে ইয়া করো, আমাকে রিভাইভ দাও। হ্যাঁ